back to cleaning out my vault, or from wherever I left off on, was it Sunday? It was Saturday or Sunday. I think I finished off, I was going in alphabetical orders from primaries to specials to heavies, and made it into specials, made it through fusion rifles, made it through sniper rifles, and I think that's where I left off. So I believe shotguns is next, but again, I gotta set up my thumbnail and all that stuff, so it's gonna take me a couple minutes, hopefully not too long. Turn that on. Check my audio. Okay, audio seems to be good. Edit, upload thumbnail. Where is it? There we go. Nope, I am not AI. Okay, let's copy this stuff from the last video, or the last live stream, over to this one. Paste. Destiny 2, 2017, 8 years ago. Okay, that should be pretty good. Save that. Okay, just go to my page and make sure. Yep, okay. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna head straight to the vault, and I also needed to today was reset, right? So I do need to check to see what's new. And then I have like a little spreadsheet that I actually put some of the weekly stuff in, so I don't miss anything, and so that way I'm kind of aware of anything noteworthy, such as weekly exclusives. So what are the advanced gameplay surges this week? Why is my browser not working? Testing. Okay, well, it seems to be working. Okay, so advanced surges for the week are Void and Stasis. Not that it... Oh, okay, well, last time I updated my weekly surges, it was also Void and Stasis, so I think I didn't do anything last week. What is the Nightfall this week? And I should just go check the tower so I can see what weapon it is this week for the Nightfall. Not that it's going to matter, because I'm pretty sure I've farmed every new Nightfall weapon. We had, what, 1 or 2 this season? Rake Angle, and I think maybe the AR, the Shadow Price or whatever it's called, but I don't even care about that gun. But yeah, I'll go check it anyways. Last week was Plug 1, or that was either last week or the week before. I think it was the week before. Salvation's Edge Master Challenge this week. What is it? I don't know. Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2, Raid 1, Raid 2. Weekly campaign missions, those don't even matter because there's good. We have a good way to get alloys now, so I don't really need to farm weekly campaign missions. Okay, let's go see Zavala real quick.
Let's begin.
Whatever happened to all the ships in the sky off the tower? I thought we had like a whole bunch of ships there. I guess that's what happens when you don't pay attention to the story. Undercurrent. Okay, so apparently, and I am going to be getting into grenade launchers pretty quick here, because if I go to dim, where am I at? Organizer, go to dim, go to organizer, go to weapons, type in is legendary, filter out all the exotics, because I don't have any exotics to delete, because I've already done that, and, you know, you're not farming up duplicate exotics. Okay, so I left off on sniper rifles, and then I got to go into shotguns, then grenade launchers. So, grenade launchers, second on the list for this live stream. So shotguns first, grenade launchers second, and then I guess trace rifles, glaives, and then I'm into heavies. So if I make it into heavies, I'm going to be talking machine guns first, and then swords. And then heavy GLs, rockets, and linears, right? Linears is going to be an interesting one to talk about because they're getting a 10% buff. So kind of like a reversion to the last couple of nerfs that it got. Because linears just kind of slowly got nerfed out of the meta, right? Meanwhile, heavy grenade launchers just got buffed straight up into the meta and just completely overshadowed linear. So I'm looking forward to looking at my linear collection, seeing if not just to see if there's anything that I can delete for the sake of cleaning up my vault, which is the purpose of this, but just to kind of brainstorm what might be good with the 10% buff going into Heresy. And I should have checked too from today's live stream. I did listen to the live stream. I didn't watch much of it, but I think it was like an hour live stream that Destiny put out, or Bungie, I should say. And they showed some artifact mod stuff, so we can already kind of get an idea of what weapon categories are going to be in the meta for next season, at least as far as artifact mods and build crafting and popularity and all that kind of stuff. So I did want to check that. So maybe I'll just kind of skim through the internet real quick and see if somebody screenshotted the artifact mods. I know we have like Horde Shuttle. There's something that's going to enhance Bolt Charge. I honestly need to give the live stream another listen, so I might not have time to really iron that out tonight. I can just go through the weapons normally. But yeah, so shotguns will be next. Okay, so yeah, and that's why Undercurrent is important, because it is leaving, as far as I know, it's leaving the rotation. So next season, Heresy, you will no longer be able to get Undercurrent. Right. So last chance is this week to get it. I've already got the god rolls that I've been farming for, so not an issue for me, but I will be discussing that weapon. Okay. I gotta take my sweater off. Okay. So, well, I'm gonna write it in my list anyways. See, I think having a Discord would be useful for this kind of stuff, because I keep a lot of like weekly lists of things that there are to do in the game and farm modifiers and that kind of stuff. So if I did have a community on Discord that was interested in that stuff, I can I could post it there too instead of it just being for me. But Undercurrent, that's the weekly weapon. Not that I'm going to... Hey, this guy looks pretty good. Ham sandwich. Um, yeah, so what's the raid challenge this week? Check it out. Pale Heart. Not that anybody is farming Master Raid challenges anymore on LFG. But I am curious. Mobility focused armor. Mobility is getting a major rework anyways, and I already have all the high stat armor. So what's up with this? All raid challenges are active. I don't. Last time I looked at this, it was the same story. Like, were they just doing this for like the last several weeks of the season, where all raid challenges are active? Because normally it's like you get one raid challenge per week, right? Which is even more mind-boggling to me. Well, I guess not really, because nobody's playing the game, but you would think that if every challenge is active, then there would be people posting master farms for salvations, right? Nothing. No listings available. What about just normal, like standard and master? Yeah, of course there's three standard posts. Nothing farming based. I mean, obviously, why would you want to farm? Well, I guess you'd farm the final checkpoint, but then again, you wouldn't even be farming it really, because you can only do it on every character.
Master farmers.
Yep, master farmers. That's me. Nobody's master farming though. Look at this. This is the LFG Fireteam Finder thing. And normally when the game is like actually decently popular, like there'll be no masturbators in Fireteam Finder. No master raiders either. Yeah, so every single challenge is active in Salvation's Edge. Nobody wants to do them. Nobody wants Adept Salvation's Edge weapons. Or just nobody wants to play the raid, right? Or everybody knows that nobody else wants to, so therefore it's just a, yeah. Just not popular right now. Okay, well, anyway, I could put that on my spreadsheet anyways, because whatever. Salvation's Edge challenge, all. Dungeons. What dungeons do we have right now? I can just delete those before they even go into my vault. Let's check it out. Dungeon 1 and Dungeon 2, what are they this week? Probably in Legends, because there's a little gold thing there. Nope. Presage, don't care. Oh yeah, they have this little icon thing now on the destination, so you can immediately tell that Shattered Throne, that would be, call that Dungeon 2, Shattered Throne. Last Wish is up this week as well. If anybody needs Last Wish patterns, you can go farm those this week. What else? Savathun's Throne World. Is it Vow by chance? Yeah, Vow the Disciple. If anybody wants to farm some Master Rolk and get some Adept Vow the Disciple weapons, I mean, Forbearance is still Forbearance. Cataclysmic, getting a 10% buff. Go back to that 4th times bait and switch and see how it feels in Heresy. What's the other dungeon? Moon, Pit of Heresy. Is it really Pit? No, Duality. Yeah, it's always, whenever it's Shattered Throne, it's Duality. There's a pattern, right? So I just know from memory. And then the weekly Lightfall, weekly Witch Queen, don't really care. What's the Onslaught map? I am curious, because whenever we have Midtown, then I'm interested. Vostok, also pretty good. Has anybody played the new Moth Yards? That's what I'm wondering, because I heard that Bungie did a little rework on Moth Yards, but I was never interested in Moth Yards ever. I don't think I have a single like Legend 50 wave completion, or expert as it's called now, on Moth Yards, even back in Into the Light, because it was just such a boring map. Like I was just always playing Midtown, or Vostok occasionally, right? I think there was like a week or two where we didn't even have Midtown available during Into the Light, so you had to play Vostok. But yeah, Vostok's pretty good. Midtown, super. But I'm curious, has anybody played the updated Moth Yards? Probably not, because Bungie already disappointed everybody with it for the entire duration of Into the Light, so I don't know why anybody would really be enticed to go back into Moth Yards to test it when you can no longer get shinies. You can no longer visit the Hall of Champions. Like, yeah, I don't know. But I am curious if Into the Light is any good.
Moth Yards felt like the enemy spawn was not as often as Vostok.
Moth Yards felt like the enemy spawn was not as often as Vostok. Yeah, well, that's what I felt with the original, because it was like everything was like the map was just too big, right? Everything was all spread out. All the spawns were like spread out, so the enemies would like get to you very slowly. You could pick them off kind of leisurely, right? You're never like overwhelmed like with Midtown or even Vostok for that matter. So that's why I thought Bungie had addressed that issue and said that they did a major rework to it, but I've literally seen zero content on the updated Moth Yards, and I haven't tested it myself. Anyways, just curious. But either way, you can't do Moth Yards this week. It's Vostok. And I do still need that hung jury with explosive payload and kinetic tremors. How you doing today, Ark? I will be going back into the dungeon. Well, I mean next stream. I'm looking at, since I streamed like crazy for like a week, I kind of figured out what my limitations are as a noob streamer, especially. So I'm going to be doing like I'm going to try and do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and maybe Saturdays.
Hope you are as well.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. But yeah, so I think Thursday, if I can get this vault cleaning session done, then I'm going to hop back into Vespers on Thursday. I might do a little bit off stream if it doesn't line up with my streaming schedule, but yeah, I'm going to go back in there and get the solo done, and I changed up my strategy, so yeah, I'm going to be doing it a much cheesier way than before. But I already proved to myself that I could do it like a crazy madman with Anarchy and Consecration and all that. It took me like 9 hours of practice on Puppeteer just to do a solo 4-phase with T-Crash and Consecration and Velocity Baton and Anarchy and Tanasha. So I did it the hardcore Titan way, half as effectively as everybody else on YouTube, but that's okay. I proved to myself that I can do it. So now for the solo flawless, I think I'm just gonna crutch on that Lorelei Splendor. It'll be the first time that I actually do Puppeteer at all, whether it's in a fire team or solo, crutching at the back of the map, avoiding the lightning strikes. I've literally just always like accepted death, and then just ran around like crazy, just because it's so fun. But I just want the easy route for the solo flawless.
Having Anarchy back and strong has been nice.
Yeah, well, I missed out on like the whole Anarchy meta since I started playing when Witch Queen came out heavily. So like Anarchy was not in the meta at all back then. Rally barricade above the door strat. Yeah, exactly, the back left, right. I don't know who figured out that strat. It was probably Esoteric, because I definitely saw that video and I saw a lot of people copying that strategy. I know a lot of people got their emblems on Titan that way, just using Solar Titan, right? And I put in a little bit of practice yesterday on that build, and it just seems so free compared to the whole T-Crash Anarchy thing. Even though it's fun, it's definitely just risky. But I am curious, what's the weekly...
A strat is a strat, lol.
A strat is a strat. If it works, it works. I mean, the whole point of a solo flawless is to just use the easiest way to do it, I guess, right? Unless you're doing it for like personal challenge or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna be hopping into, what is it? Shotguns, then grenade launchers, then trace rifles, right? So that's kind of next on the list for categories of weapons. I just wanted to just update since we got reset today. What is it's the Cunning, my favorite. That's my favorite weekly campaign mission. This is such a good one too for testing master overloads, because they all spawn in pairs in this campaign mission, and you could do some testing, like testing ways to kill 2 overloads at once, kind of a thing, and then you can take that test and bring it into GMs and that kind of thing. But yeah, anyways, I think that's pretty much it for figuring out the reset stuff. So I'm gonna go to the Enclave, because I realized like halfway through the last stream that it just made... Wait, I'm at the tower. Is there anything I need to collect real quick? I realized last stream that it was just way more practical to actually talk about some weapons if I'm already in the Enclave, because then, you know, occasionally I can pull the weapon out and shoot it and see how it feels, or talk about it in that way. I don't think I need anything up here. I already checked in with Zavala. Yeah. Oh, I should... Do I have any engrams I need to claim real quick? No. Okay. I do have, before the weekends, I got a shit ton of engrams to grab off of Banshee and Raoul. Probably Hawthorne. Probably Ghost and the Pale Heart. Probably even what's-his-face, the Silver Surfer dude, since I do Terminal Overload fairly often. Okay, Enclave. Okay, so shotguns. What do I got? Is there anything I can delete? Oh my gosh, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 arc shotguns. Dead Grammaries, Prophet of Dooms, and that's it. I think I deleted... I had like a couple hands on hands, or hands in hands, or whatever it was called. And then there's like isn't there like a lightweight arc shotgun from Vanguard that was extremely popular? Xenoclast or something like that? I'll transfer these arc shotguns over real quick. If you guys... Did you see the live stream today, Arc? Or anybody in chat? Is there anything that you guys are excited about, specifically? Okay, so obviously I have no problem getting the role that I want on Dead Grammary, which was threat detector and surrounded, right? But I think I fully masterworked this with less than par barrel and magazine, right? Because you want what, assault mag, and that I don't even know what else. I'm definitely not a shotgun expert. I hardly ever use shotguns. Unless it's for like 1-2 punch. Until this season, though, since we have barrier shotgun, kind of nice. I've actually enjoyed this weapon quite a bit because I don't think you can get you can't get trench and you can't get 1-2 punch on dead Glimmer, can you? So it's kind of like one of those shotguns that's just designated for shotgunning things, not just for making your melee better or benefiting off of your melee. Yeah, Dead Grammarly rolls with Volt Shot, Chain Reaction, right? So they kind of gave it these ad clear perks, which I think I remember when they released this in Echoes, right? A lot of people were like, oh yeah, it's going to be crazy because it's got Chain Reaction and Volt Shot, but nobody's really using shotguns like that to ad clear, right? It's, again, the same issue with fusion rifles. You're not really ad clearing with fusion rifles or shotguns. You're using it to burst down yellow bars and orange bars, majors, champs, key targets, and that's pretty much it. So that's why I didn't keep a chain reaction or a volt shot on this thing. And I just went with the classic 47% damage buff, because I mean, odds are if I'm using a shotgun, I'm going to be surrounded anyways. And if the whole identity of this shotgun specifically is to shoot the thing over and over again, right, as opposed to 1-2 punch, then you want a damage perk for the bullets themselves. So surrounded makes the most sense there. I think there is golden tricorn, but again, that kind of entails that you're kind of ad clearing with it, so that you can get that 50% damage buff. Golden Tricorn is just not one of those perks that I've ever really used. But surrounded would just be directly applicable. Like if you get surrounded, boom, 47%. Take care of a champ, take care of whatever, easy peasy. It does roll with Vorpal as well. So I mean, you can't really go wrong with Vorpal, especially if there's no other ads left. But yeah, I've used this in Nightfalls and mainly Onslaught, I think, for barriers. Like if you're up against Cabal in Onslaught Salvation, then Threat Detector is really good. And I guess you would be up against barriers in regular Onslaught too, and Into the Light if you're still doing that. But yeah, look, I got 4 of these, and apparently they're all the same rolls. So I knew that my Masterworked version wasn't that great. So do I have anything better on these ones? Reload speed definitely sounds pretty nice. So it's 55 reload at base. What does Threat Detector give you? I want to say like 50 reload or something crazy. Grants 1 and 2 stacks while within 15 meters of enemies. 1 or 2 enemies, right? So if there's 2 enemies, you get 60 reload. That's crazy. That's like a champion and an ad, like a red bar. If you just run into 2 enemies like that within 15 meters, that's like 45 feet. Sorry, I'm still on the Imperial system over here in North America. But yeah, that's a huge radius, so that's why Threat Detector is extremely good. And it's actually one of those perks that I meant to mention last stream when I talked about perpetual motion on close quarter weapons like SMGs and sidearms. Threat Detector can give you essentially the same stats, but much better than perpetual motion, right? But yeah, anyways, for me, I just think Threat Detector surrounded makes the most sense, right? Because both rely on preconditions that you're surrounded by multiple enemies. Having max reload speed on a shotgun that doesn't otherwise have an automatically reloading perk is pretty good. There is Discord, but Discord is again an ad clear perk, right? You can get free ammo refunded to the to your reserves, like, so I think you can get ammo out of thin air with Discord, but I think it also reloads your mag. So there is that with Discord, but again, that's like you should be killing multiple enemies with Discord to get it to work. So that's why I didn't go Discord. So Threat Detector surrounded, that works for me. So then the question is, so Threat Detector can give you up to 60 reload, so it means that I don't really need a reload masterwork, right? It would just be handy for whenever threat detector's not procced, but otherwise it's just kind of redundant. Like if I was being extremely optimal about threat detector, then I would have a reload speed sitting at around 40, right? I don't need more than 40 because then all that's getting wasted. Unless I just have threat detector times 1, then it's only 15 reload, but ultimately I think I want I'd rather have other stats in that case. If I can lower the reload and increase like range on a shotgun, I don't know. But I guess assault mag is the DPS king for magazine, right? Yeah, so it would mean, gosh, my original, yeah, this is gonna have to get deleted, I think, because I mean, none of that looks great. What other ones do I have? Assault mag again and extended, so that gives you the option of, I guess, having more total ammo if I ever wanted to go that route, with extended and like backup. Or if I just want DPS, then assault mag. Then the thing is, you got range. Considering that Bungie keeps giving us more ranged shotguns, like, I mean, I think they did a bit of a range bump this season, and they're going to do another one next season, right? And they just gave us an exotic shotgun and everything like that, so it makes sense that Bungie keeps trying to push shotguns closer and closer to the meta, or give them some kind of identity in PvE, where they weren't, like, but it's still, I'm a little confused as to like where they're going to go with shotguns, because if they want to give it the range of, say, a fusion rifle, then it's like, well, why not just use a fusion rifle? And so yeah, I don't know what the whole like range buffs to shotguns is really going to do in PvE. Is it going to peel me away from fusion rifles or not? I mean, I guess it'd only be relevant for this week, because barriers are gonna, I don't think they're in the artifact next season, whereas fusion rifles, as far as I know, we're getting unstoppable fusions next season. So, but then what other stats are good on a shotgun? I mean, handling is always good, right? Because it's kind of something that you need to pull out in a pinch, right? If you're trying to contend with like a barrier and a nightfall, then you might need to pull out your shotgun pretty fast to take care of the immediate threat, so therefore handling is pretty good. But wait, does threat detector also give you handling? It gives you 100 handling. So you don't need reload speed, you don't need handling, you don't need stability if you're running threat detector, and if you're utilizing threat detector. So in that case, range would probably be the best masterwork, and the best as far as barrels go. Increase range, decrease handling speed, increase range, increase stability. It gives you 40 stability. So I mean, technically I could have 100 stability with this. I could have 100 stability, 100 handling, 100 reload with threat detector. But why would it just, I don't think stability really matters on shotguns, does it? It might matter if you're trying to use a shotgun more at range, like what Bungie's trying to get us to do. I don't know. But I don't think so. Like, it's not like stability tightens your pellet spread or anything like it does. Doesn't it do that on fusion rifles? Like on stability on fusion rifles, doesn't that like decrease your bolt spread or something like that? Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I got 2 great magazines on this one, and the barrels look pretty alright, and the masterwork looks pretty good. What about this one? Well, I mean, this one's got the handling, but I don't need handling with threat detector. So, okay, so I can get rid of that. I think I know which one I'm gonna keep. Not that one. Don't need reload. So it's gonna be this one, and therefore I can delete the enhanced one. It's gonna hurt a little bit because, like, I know that I wasted mega resources to do that, and then I got this one, which is just way better. total damage, DPS, max range. Well, not max range, but I guess max range for this weapon potentially. And then 100 stability, handling, and reload with threat detector. So, yeah. I think I'm just going to have to get rid of this one. And I get 1 enhancement core. What a ripoff. So, like, why is it when you masterwork a piece of armor, exotic or legendary, doesn't matter, and then you delete it, you get like 7 cores back or something like that? Even get an Ascendant Shard back on exotics armor. And I think also on masterworked weapons that aren't enhanced or crafted, you also get like 7 cores back. Like if I deleted this Hung Jury right now, I would probably get 7 enhancement cores. But I'm not going to do that because it's part of my DPS strat for Puppeteer on for my next stream as soon as this vault cleaning BS is done. So this is going to be my new Dead Grammary. There's definitely no rush to enhance it, right? Shotguns are only in the artifact for the rest of this week, and I'm only going to be pretty much doing this and Vespers and maybe some other not super relevant stuff. So I'll probably just keep this in the vault until I know I can dump the resources on it. Prophet of Doom, on the other hand, so this is a shotgun I don't really know anything about because I haven't really used any precision frames. I heard this is good inside of Garden Salvation itself. I've actually come across quite a lot of like speedrunners in Garden of Salvation, like even on LFG and Fireteam Finder, and they were using Prophet of Doom to essentially solo the eyes. I can't remember the name of the encounter. It's like the 3rd encounter, right? Where you gotta follow the Harpy boss around and shoot its eyes out. And normally like the LFG strat is kind of like 3 people go on eyes and everybody takes their own eye, but if you're really good at the game, then you can supposedly use a precision frame shotgun and just shoot them all yourself. So that's about all I know about Prophet of Doom and precision frames, because I don't really have experience with precision frames. Maybe it's good in PvP, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's really good as a barrier shotgun as well. But I mean, Slideways, Trench Barrel, that seems like it was made for Consecration, right? Because you're always sliding with Consecration and you're always slamming, and then therefore you're always proccing Trench Barrel, so you could do a Consecration, shoot 3 shots at, what, 50% damage buff? How does this even sound? Since I am in the Enclave, I'm curious. I've never even shot this. Kind of reminds me of like a Borderlands weapon. Versus Dead Grammary. Anyway, they're different frames, so I can't just delete one or the other just because they're both arc, because I don't really know like where I would use a precision frame. That and what, well, I guess I could delete them both if I'm not going to slap deep sight harmonizers on them, because I still do need, I think I need 2 Prophet of Doom borders. Actually, I guess I could check real quick, because I am kind of curious. Shotguns. So I just need 2 Prophet of Dooms. I mean, I guess I could put a deep sight harmonizer on each one of these and then I'd be done with it. But I don't have any spoils, and like I discussed last time, I'm not spending 15 freaking spoils to apply a deep sight harmonizer to a weapon anymore, because I did that without realizing how many spoils I was spending until I ran out. So I mean, I could just hold on to it temporarily if I want to use it, or I can just not use it and just wait until I craft it. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Both look like pretty good rolls though. Like, what would I put on Prophet of Doom in the end? If I check the perks on Dim real quick, just so I know. Trench Barrel always sounds good. 1-2 punch. I don't know how 1-2 punch really would do on a precision frame. Maybe it'd be really good, like especially for like an arc. Wait, would you ever use Arcane Needle for 1-2 punch? No, you'd be using a Titan build or combination blow on Hunter. It rolls with Volt Shot, so then again, add clear. While just shooting it just now didn't make it feel like I would ever want to use it for ad clear. That's for sure. So it'd be like Cascade Point, Trench Barrel, 1-2 punch. It has some pretty good perks on the left too. It has Reconstruction, Threat Detector, Slideways, Envious Arsenal, Pugilist, Air Trigger. Gosh, I don't know. If I craft it, how do you get the Prophet of Doom, the one that I just deleted? It's from Garden of Salvation. So, and you can go see Hawthorne at the tower. You know, the clan vendor or whatever. She has a quest that you can pick up for free. You can just pick up the quest, and if you complete all encounters of the raid, then you can go back and talk to her up to once per week, and you can get access to a free red border so that you can craft it. Otherwise, you could just do the raid and use non-crafted versions. And if you're curious as to where Prophet of Doom drops, I can look it up real quick, like as far as what encounters. Because there are, whenever Garden of Salvation is in rotation, which it isn't this week, but if you went to like Fireteam Finder, and then you went to Raids, and then you went to Garden of Salvation, see, you can often find these posts where people are already at a certain checkpoint, and sometimes they'll be farming a checkpoint, so you can hop in there. And if you don't know what to do, I mean, just tell them you don't know what to do. Sometimes people are rude, sometimes people are super open and accepting. But Prophet of Doom drops from loot table. What encounters? I want to say like second and third encounters. Wait, actually type in Garden of Salvation loot table. Is this the new one? For red borders? Okay, yeah, so it looks like it drops from the second encounter only, right? So, I mean, yeah, if you see a second checkpoint like that, and actually second checkpoint is super, super easy. Like, I don't know Garden of Salvation very well at all, but you can... I mean, it's a super easy encounter. Like, and if people are farming that, then you can probably get your 5 Prophet of Doom red borders pretty quick. Right, and the thing is too, though, like I was saying, you can get the quest off of Hawthorne, and if you complete the whole raid, then you can just buy whatever red border you want. But I think she still charges you 15 spoils, so like you have to... The quest is free, and you do the raid, but then you got to spend all the spoils that you get at Hawthorne to get that red border, right? So, anyways, that's it for arc shotguns. I'm going to keep the Dead Gramarye. I deleted my fully masterworked one, which had the exact same perks, but this has a better barrel and mag. So, keeping that. Next up, I had five arc shotguns a few minutes ago. Now I just have one, so that felt pretty good. Kinetic shotguns. I've got 6, 7. Okay, I have a feeling there's going to be some that I can delete here potentially. Move to Titan. Okay. This is actually gonna be kind of hard because I know that there's definitely some weapons that are just redundant that I don't need. Because like I got what Wastelander, lightweight frame, perpetual motion, 1-2 punch. Well, I guess it's the only kinetic. It's the only kinetic lightweight that I have, so that's a reason alone to keep it. I know Swordbreaker, the Strand shotgun, is a lightweight as well, but it's Strand, it's not kinetic, so like, I don't know. Kinetics can often play into surges, right? Like if you're doing a Nightfall. If you're doing the weekly Nightfall, for example, and it's, say, Solar and Arc Surge, right? And you're on a Solar build, then all of a sudden your kinetic weapons do 25% more damage, right? Whereas if Strand isn't surging, then Swordbreaker's not going to have 25% more damage. So that's like kind of the reasoning there to keep one of each element type of thing. This Perfect Paradox is a real shame because, like, again, I feel like this should be shiny. One thing I am excited about with that I heard in today's live stream was that when you start getting these, excuse me, these double perk drops, they're going to have their own unique skins. I don't know if it's just because they're adepts. Like, now you're going to be able to get, like, adept seasonal weapons in Heresy. And it's going to come with its own unique icon. Kind of like the adept raid weapons and adept nightfall weapons. So, basically shiny, right? And they said that it's going to look good, too. It's not going to have, like, an ornament. But I mean, you don't need an ornament. Like, the ornament is the skin anyways. Shader, ornament, same thing. It's just like some of the ornaments and mementos, for example, are just a little bit shinier or whatever than a normal shader. But I mean, the point is, make the icon look different, right? So if you get, like, for example, in Heresy, this would be adept. This would say adept at the end because it would drop with double. With extra perks. But this is essentially like a quadruple god roll because, I mean, everything is good. Threat Detector Trench Barrel is good. Threat Detector 1-2 Punch is good. Pugilist Trench Barrel is good. Pugilist 1-2 Punch is good. So this is like 4 good rolls in one right here. It doesn't have Assault Mag though, right? So, does it roll with Assault Mag? Oh, you can't get Assault Mag with it anyways. You can get Extended Mag, though. Right, I guess Extended and Appended. So I guess if you wanted to, like, min-max your magazine size and potentially your total reserves, then you'd want it Appended or Extended. Somebody last stream was chimed in about Extended and Appended, so I'm just kind of reiterating that point there now that I realize that. But all around, like, this is a top tier Perfect Paradox. Like, I wouldn't trade it unless I got these exact same 4 rolls, or maybe Slide Shot, because it rolls Slide Shot as well. I used to have a double perk with Slide Shot. Yeah, so if I got another one like this with Slide Shot instead of one of these and Extended or Appended, I guess I would maybe look at replacing that, but that would be like, why would I would never intentionally go farm for a better one, basically. So yeah, what else? Imperial Decree. This is like specifically for a damage rotation on a boss. Yeah, it was sword and then swap into this. So if you can already do a dungeon or a raid boss fight with surrounded procced, this is an extremely good. Like, if you're within melee range to the boss as well, this is an extremely good damage option. especially when kinetics were doing extra damage over strand and stasis, which, you know, we lost that advantage to kinetic weapons. Now they all do the same. So all archetypes, whether it's kinetic, strand, or stasis, they all do the same damage, basically. But nonetheless, surrounded is like, what, 47%? Assault mag, it's an aggressive frame, so it does the most amount of damage per shot, right? Not necessarily best DPS, but per shot damage. So that's really hard to pass up. Then Ragnhild. So I mean, this is the other option to Imperial Decree, because they're both aggressive frames. It's just if I can't get surrounded, then this would be the next best option, kind of a thing. So I don't really want to delete that. And it is from, like, it's nostalgic because it's from Witch Queen when I first started really playing Destiny 2 heavily. And it's a Hake, so really good on stasis builds and one-shotting glacial grenades and stasis crystals in general. So there's that as well. Wastelander to me is something that I would basically just use on like combination blow on Hunter, just for the extra 20 mobility. Potentially on a 1-2 punch on Titan too, but generally my 1-2 punch shotguns on Titan, I'm more using Swordbreaker or Basso Asinato. I know a lot of people like the solar one as well. Heritage. So I know this is like a favored shotgun by the community. I've never used it, really. Do I even have any kills on it? Enemies defeated 1900? That doesn't make sense. 1900 kills. Okay, so I guess I leveled this up back in the day, but when you couldn't level weapons with enhancement cores in Glimmer. But yeah, it feels like I've never really used it. So that's kind of weird that I have 1900 kills on it. Auto-loading recombination. So I mean, seems to me like I should potentially keep that around if there's anything that needs to be one shot, and that's about the only reason to keep it. And it's a pinpoint, so not getting rid of any kinetics, unfortunately. What else do I have? Solar shotguns. I've got the Ikelos. On my Ikelos, I've got Trench Barrel. I know, like, Titans, 1-2 punch Titans really like the Ikelos shotgun. I'm wondering why. If anybody knows why that is like the favorite shotgun for 1-2 punch builds on Titan, I'm curious. Does it just have like insane handling or something like that? Because it's not a lightweight. Like, you would think you would want a lightweight for max handling, and stuff like that, because you don't need it for the damage either. But Ikelos is a rapid fire. And I'll just bring over all of my solar shotguns real quick. Yeah, Ikelos is a rapid fire, so to me that means it would be the best DPS option. Like for sustained damage, because I'm pretty sure it's a fact that rapid fire frames do the most amount of DPS, right? So, like, if you wanted to play into that fact about the archetype, then something like Trench Barrel would be, I mean, 50% extra damage on 3 shots after every melee, right? So, I guess there would be absolutely no problem using this as a 1-2 punch shotgun. I'm just curious as to why it's so popular for that specifically. But yeah, I've used this with Consecration Titan with proc and Radiant on that Consecration, and then you could just break a barrier, whether shotguns are in the artifact or not for barrier weapons. This is an insane Consecration spam shotgun, because you can just every now and then after every Consecration just spam 3 shots at mega damage, right? And then Grave Robber, I mean, can't really go wrong with Grave Robber if you're already using your melee. But yeah, because then I've got like Without Remorse, which is another solar shotgun, and that's a lightweight. So to me, it seems like that would be the preferred 1-2 punch shotgun. So what's the handling? 84? I mean, I crafted these, so all the stats are variable, but I mean, generally they're within a pretty consistent range. So if you compared Without Remorse to Ikelos, wait, handling is 64 on Ikelos, 84 on Without Remorse. So wouldn't Without Remorse be the better 1-2 punch shotgun? I mean, maybe handling isn't everything on a 1-2 punch shotgun. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Rasputin's Arsenal. What does that do? Breaking a target's shield partially reloads this weapon's mag. I mean, that doesn't really fit the 1-2 punch identity by itself. Whereas Extrovert, what does that do again? Final blows while near multiple combatants or near nightmares restores health. I mean, that sounds pretty good, but if you're just using it for 1-2 punch, then you're not killing enemies with the shotgun. So you're not really proccing Extrovert either. Anyways. So 2 solar shotguns used for 2 different things, both for melee builds, but one for following up on melees, or one for enhancing your melee and one for enhancing your shotgun from the melee. Now I'm sure I can delete some of these. Legato 11, pinpoint slug frame. So same frame as Heritage. Why would I ever want to keep this? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure it's like a fairly popular PvP weapon, but I don't know why I would use this in PvE, really. Maybe in a damage rotation. I guess auto-loading with Assault Mag and Cascade Point would be pretty good. Reloading grants this weapon bonus handling and reduces incoming flinch for a short time. So Suros Synergy. Bonus handling. I mean, if you're using auto-loading, you're not proccing Suros. So the origin trait is kind of null. Legato. This one's got range, deconstruct, and cascade point. So I mean, technically on this one, you can get a much better cascade point ammo dump, basically, because I think cascade point lasts for like more than the magazine can shoot, essentially, because you get 7 shots with this. I guess with backup mag and extended, you'd maybe get 8, but I think you'd probably end up wanting assault mag anyways for the DPS. So I bet with deconstruct you could probably shoot 10 shots at sustained damage, right? Because it's going to reload the mag as you do damage, which means that, yeah, you can take better advantage of cascade point with this. The downside is, how are you going to reload this thing? Like, you can't just use this in a damage rotation more than like one use, because then you'd be stuck reloading like 7 shots. Right? That's the worst part about shotguns, is every reload is like, it's a per bullet reload. But this would do absolutely insane damage on certain things. 40% from deconstruct if the damage perk is procced. So I mean, yeah, I just don't really see myself using this. Maybe on like a witch with a divinity bubble, like Urt, because Urt is kind of like close quarters. Shotgun would be pretty good there. But other than that, like in dungeons and raids, if you're doing precision-based damage to a boss, it's typically longer range. So shotguns aren't really applicable there in the same way that like linears and snipers are, right? Outside of like Urt, that's the only thing I could think of. Other than that, it could just be like a champion melter maybe. In which case, if I was going to use it in a Nightfall, I'd definitely be way more inclined to use auto-loading as opposed to cascade point, just for consistency. But deconstruct does have that super niche application. I don't know. The thing is, though, if I'm going to use a shotgun in a Nightfall, I'm more than likely just going to use Ikelos, or even Without Remorse, or some other shotgun. So, I don't know. I'll probably just save this one because it's unique. It's got Assault Mag, it's got Deconstruct, it's got Cascade Point. You could do like a 10-shot ammo dump, probably, right? 7 in the mag, reloads as you do damage. So you could do like a better Cascade dump with Deconstruct if I wanted to do that. And then maybe I can find a boss that takes 40% extra damage as well and kind of show that weapon off in some kind of video or something. I don't know. But I don't see myself using auto-loading Cascade really ever. So I'll save this for the one-off situation that I decide to use it. Sojourner's Tale, Heal Clip and Incandescent. I mean, just because you can get Heal Clip and Incandescent and just because it's synergistic, is it good on a weapon like this? Probably not, because if you're going to use this, the whole concept is kill, reload, kill, reload, kill, reload, right? It's like add clear. Both of these perks are add clear. So why would I add clear with a pinpoint slug frame, right? There. Okay, so I just kept 2 solar shotguns and this one potential Legato 11, and that's it. So I got rid of a couple there. I've got rid of like 4 arc shotguns. I got rid of 3 solar shotguns, or 2. So doing pretty good so far on cleaning out my shotguns. Next up, stasis, man. Like, 1 stasis shotgun. Why do we never get stasis? I feel like we get a stasis pulse rifle every season. Like, we get a new one. Why don't they give us a stasis shotgun for once instead? That's it. That's the only stasis shotgun in the game, apparently. I think there is another one. And maybe there's some stuff in Crucible or PvP that I don't know about, but I mean, theoretically, like, this is like a Heritage or that Legato, but I mean, 47% damage, triple tap, so a lot of total damage. Assault Mag, I mean, it's a great roll. Never used it. It's been around since Season of Plunder, but it is the only shotgun I have that's stasis, so I guess that's not going anywhere. Stasis shotguns, we've got, strand shotguns. We've got 3 of them. I've got 3 of them anyways, so I'll take a look at those real quick. I've gone back and forth on this Swordbreaker. I've gone Pugilist, 1-2 punch, and then I switched over to Demo. I like Demo better because normally if I'm using this, I'm on my Strand Titan, which, Strand Titan exists, and it's still like, as soon as we get that 55% nerf to Consecration, I bet you a lot of people will start playing Strand Titan again. Because personally, I don't think the nerf is going to change a whole lot. Like, if you could still activate your Transcendence and spam out like 10 Consecrations in a row, I don't think a 55% nerf is going to make a huge difference at all. But I think it is going to change the way people think about it, and they're going to start going back to like, Woven Mail and Tangles and Berserker. But that's what I mainly use the Swordbreaker for. But why I think Demo is better on this as opposed to Pugilist is because normally if you're on Strand Titan, like you would be running with Synthos, for example. You already have 3 Frenzied Blades, right? You've got Into the Fray, so while you have Woven Mail, your melee regen is increased, and it's like 300 or 400% regen rate, right? It's insane. So you have Woven Mail, you have basically infinite melee ability uptime. Then you could throw on Thread of Fury, right? So damaging targets with Tangles, which you're going to be doing to get your Woven Mail from from Into the Fray, right? Because Into the Fray allows you to get your woven mail from your tangles, right? And then it also increases your melee energy, right? So Thread of Fury pairs perfectly with that. So yeah, people are probably going to start reverting back to Strand Titan, because even in the current meta, Strand Titan is absolutely stellar. Like, it is definitely a more survivable build than Consecration Titan, and it is almost just a spammable. But yeah, you would have with Swordbreaker, I like Demo because you're relying on your grapple as well, right? And you have a harder time getting your grapple back as opposed to your Frenzied Blade. You do not need help getting Frenzied Blades on a Banner of War into the fray Strand Titan. Basically, that's the idea there. So Pugilist 1-2 punch sounds good in theory. Overkill, not needed, redundant. Demo's better, more grapple melees. Super Cluster. Reconstruction Surrounded, pinpoint slug frame. So again, something I don't use, but I guess I'll keep it around in case I ever decide to use it. I don't know. And then until its return, rapid fire. So I've got 3 different frames, so I mean, I'm gonna keep them all. And this thing is absolutely nuts. It's like a little what is it, like I think people compare it to Fourth Horseman, because you proc Cascade and it just, with it already being a rapid fire and shooting at a much faster rate of fire, combined with Cascade Point, it's just like, it just deletes things immediately. It's actually really good, but it's also a little bit wild. Like, I find Cascade Point might even be a little bit overkill on this thing. Because, like, what does it shoot like just without? I mean, it's already pretty fast without Cascade Point proc. So imagine that at double the speed. It's pretty hard to control. Like, you have to be essentially right up against an enemy. Like, if you're up against like a yellow bar, like a champ, or a mini boss or a VIP target in like a dungeon or a raid that progresses a mechanic, kind of a beefier target, you can use this on them. But in my experience, when you get that Cascade Point proc, you got to be right next to the enemy, and it's just gonna, like, if you start shooting at their feet, you're gonna finish at their head or above. Like, it's that much recoil. It's insane. But I mean, you can't deny the amount of damage that it's putting out. It's just really hard to control. Yeah, so I'm keeping those. Okay, Void Shotguns. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I must be able to get rid of some Void Shotguns, and then that's it for shotguns, I think. Yeah. So maybe something productive here, right? Because we got the new Void Shotgun with what, Act 2? Scavenger's Fate. And that's yet again another precision frame. Bungie's really trying to push these precision frame shotguns on us, but I've yet to see anybody like essentially validate what they're trying to push. Like, I haven't seen any god tier gameplay on YouTube of people using precision frame shotguns in PvE anyways, right? PvP, I don't know, but I just don't know, because we got precision frame and then we got precision pinpoint slug, right? They're 2 different things. I have 6, so where's the last one? Maybe I gotta get rid of some of these. Basso Ostinato. So I use, Envious Trench Barrel I could probably get rid of. Simply because I've only used this really on my Berserker build on Strand Titan, in which case 1-2 punch. But I mean, this one would be good on a Consecration build if I needed to use a Void Shotgun. I mean, it's a rapid fire frame, so it's like the Icolo shotgun. It's like that Until Its Return, the one I just fired, the Strand one. Same rate of fire. Very good shotgun. Too bad we can't enhance it. It's got the nanotech tracer rockets. So yeah, I use this a lot on my Strand Titan, this Grave Robber 1-2 punch one specifically. like on bosses and stuff like that. Because the nice thing is you can combine this with tractor cannon, right? As far as like stacking surges, not that you need to stack surges per se on Strand Titan, but if you're just relying on like ability damage. But you know, it's kind of nice to be able to benefit off of harmonic scavenger, harmonic orbs, harmonic if you're using surges, so that way tractor cannon's doing more damage and Basso Ostinato is doing more damage. The one downside though, like I said, is you can't enhance it, and it's actually kind of a game changer to have enhanced 1-2 punch, because you don't need to land all your pellets on enhanced 1-2 punch, but without it you do, right? So if you're not 100% accurate with every pellet coming out of this thing, you're not going to proc 1-2 punch as often, right? So that's the downside to this. But I still use it just because it's a super cool looking shotgun. Great origin trait. Like I said, you can stack it with tractor cannon. Yeah. So why do I have this one for? Grave Robber Trench Barrel versus Envious Assassin Trench Barrel. I don't think I need Envious Assassin Trench Barrel. I mean, Grave Robber Trench Barrel sounds super synergistic, but at the same point, if you're just meleeing things to then shotgun them, then you're not necessarily getting the kill with the melee, right? You need the melee kill to reload the weapon, but you're kind of doing both, really, because sometimes you're going to kill stuff, and sometimes with your melee, and sometimes you're going to kill stuff with the shotgun. So I think Grave Robber's maybe better than Envious Assassin. I don't know. But then again, like if you're using this, you're kind of just pulling it out for the occasional tanky target. And if that's the case, then Envious Assassin is probably going to have this thing reloaded and overflowed way more often than you would think. So yeah, therefore I think Grave Robber Trench Barrel isn't quite as good, so I guess I could probably delete that, and then I'll just keep I don't know why I accidentally moved it to my vault. I'll keep the Grave Robber for the 1-2 punch specifically, because that's perfectly synergistic. Unlike Grave Robber Trench Barrel, Grave Robber 1-2 punch is you're always going to get the melee kill, so you're always going to reload the shotgun. Why isn't it moving over? There. Yeah, so that's the Grave Robber one. Yeah, so I think I can get rid of that. I guess I could have infused that to bring it up to 2000, but too late. Okay, so Scavenger's Fate. If anybody's watching and you have some kind of knowledge about Scavenger's Fate, especially as far as PvE goes, why you'd want to use it over something else, let me know, because I'm really kind of clueless about precision frames in PvE. Like the only thing I could picture them being useful for is like maybe barriers or something like that when we have barrier shotguns, or I don't know, maybe it's just a much better ranged option for a shotgun, in which case it's getting into fusion rifle territory. So I don't know how I feel about this weapon. I'm just not excited about it though. But what does it roll with? Okay, so for damage perks, it rolls Frenzy, Surrounded. Yeah, of course those are the two that I kept. Frenzy and Dual Loader sounds like some nice synergy, because with max reload, you're doubling you're getting like 2 shots reloaded at a time, so like you can have this thing reloaded very fast. But then again, you could just use Slide Shot or Perpetual Motion for a little bit of extra reload. It does roll with repulsor brace and destabilizing rounds, but that seems, even with the destabilizing rounds buff coming up in Heresy, sounds kind of bait for a shotgun. Because then again, it's like, well, here's another shotgun designed for ad clear, just like Dead Grammary with chain reaction and volt shot. That sounds good in theory, but not good in reality. I don't know. I really don't know why I would keep this. So I don't even know what god roll I would be looking at if I did keep it. I'm really struggling with these precision frame pellet shotguns. Discord, repulsor brace, slide shot. It does roll Vorpal as well. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could probably just get rid of that for now and maybe keep the max damage one. I'll just keep it around. Why not? Nessa's Ablation. Okay, so apparently this is the only Nessa I have now, even though I had like a million of these Adept ones from farming Master Cataclysm in Root of Nightmares. And I got this exact roll along with like 6. I had like 6 perks on the Adepts, and I had this combo. I had Repulsor destabilizing, but I got rid of all of them because you have to spend like 12 spoils to masterwork an Adept weapon, along with all the other expenses to masterwork it. And I never use slugs either. So precision frames and precision pinpoint slug frames, I don't use either of them. Oh, that's my controller. But I guess I'll keep it around because it's got a damage rotation roll, right? So obviously this is intended for what? Again, Ear Ute on a Divinity bubble. Maybe I'm on Tractor Cannon. Maybe I'm not using a fusion rifle or a sniper rifle, and I can use a pinpoint slug frame shotgun. I don't know, but I mean that makes sense for that role. So I guess I'll keep it around because, like I said, it's crafted. I can switch up the perks anytime. So in total, I'm keeping 4 void shotguns, a trench barrel, and a 1-2 punch. Call it good there. So that's it for shotguns. Grenade launchers next. All right, so getting into probably the most interesting category so far. So I'm keeping 18 shotguns apparently, despite cleaning out quite a bit. Just gonna refresh dim real quick. Have a sip of my coffee. Okay, so I've got 30 special grenade launchers. I think that's the most weapons that I've had in a single category so far in this entire vault cleaning live stream series, I guess you can call it. So if I go in order of elements, I'll start with arc. So I've got 5 arc grenade launchers. And I deleted that breech loaded one with disorienting from Season of Defiance. So the ones that I have left are, I'll bring them over. Undercurrent, right? So in case anybody didn't know, Undercurrent is leaving the Nightfall rotation. And it is currently the Nightfall weapon. So this is your last chance this week to get Undercurrent. Get the Adept from GMs. I've farmed quite a few of these since it's been around, and I definitely think it is one of those Waveframe GLs that is a sleeper, right? I think everybody just kind of looked at this thing and thought, it looks cheap. We already have Forbearance. Nothing can compare to Forbearance. I think when they dropped this, like, Forbearance was still one of the meta ad clear choices for dungeons, raids, any kind of PvE content in general. So it's kind of like, well, this thing has nothing on Forbearance, right? But it actually does, because it has Volt Shot and Demo. And it wasn't until Into the Light where Forbearance got Demo. So, like, pre-Into the Light, Undercurrent still had a pretty good standing as far as being unique. Simply because, like, if you're comparing Chain Reaction and Volt Shot one for one, obviously Chain Reaction is going to do more immediate damage, right? Because it's going to proc on the kill. Whereas Volt Shot, you have to reload to get that jolt, right? But that's the thing. This is jolt, right? So it's not just splash damage and ad clear, like, even though they both do the same thing. This one is applying a 25% debuff to enemies. Now all enemies jolted do 25% less damage. If you hit an overload with it, you stun the overload. And then likewise, you can play into essentially any arc build that benefits from Jolt. Electrostatic Mind, sometimes seasonal artifact mods, right? And so, I mean, Jolt is pretty invaluable for build crafting, and it's also a great ad clear perk. It's definitely comparable to Chain Reaction, it's just not as immediate. But I mean, once you get into a rhythm with Undercurrent, it's extremely good. Very, very good. You would not notice, like, the difference between Chain Reaction and Volt Shot, like, beyond the first kill, right? The only time you don't get any of that splash damage AoE effect is on your first kill, like. But yeah, once you get this thing proc, you just keep reloading and just keep supplying. Both of these perks are really good. I'm usually inclined to go for Stats for All, simply because you're basically going to max out reload speed, which is key because you need to keep proccing Volt Shot. But Demo is also insanely good on this, because it's I think it's only 10% that you get per kill with Demo on Waveframes. But nonetheless, you can kill 3-4 enemies with Volt Shot. So I mean, just get a few kills and you're going to have your grenade back. So this is, yeah, definitely a slept on Waveframe GL. Also, I mean, this season you want to stun an overload even without Volt Shot, you reload the mag, right, from stunning recovery. Vanguard's Vindication, kind of like Soul Drinker Light. You get a little bit of health on kills. So, I mean, it's a great Waveframe GL. Yeah, I'm surprised that it hasn't been talked about more, but I mean, yeah, Forbearance is definitely hard to pass up. Soul Drinker, you get health on your reloads, right, based on the number of enemies that you hit with it, right? So, I mean, Soul Drinker by itself is essentially enough of a healing perk to make this gun good without any other help. So you don't need Unrelenting per se, but if you do stack Unrelenting with Soul Drinker, you're going to be healing on kill and on reload. And when you combine those two, you're going to be getting way bigger chunks of health back. And so that's why I've used this a ton in dungeons. I've done solo flawlesses with this thing. Ghost of the Deep, Duality. Yeah, I mean, it was basically at the top of the meta for several seasons for a reason, right? And that's mainly why Undercurrent never really had a shot, because it like, if you're gonna have a weapon like this that's strong in the meta for such a long time, and is so unique looking, it comes from a raid, you can get it in a depth variant, and then you drop a Nightfall weapon like Undercurrent, even if it is slightly better in some situations, nobody's really going to blink an eye at it, right? It just started off with a weaker reputation in the light of Forbearance. But yeah, anyways, that's my spiel on Undercurrent. Last week to get it, if you're interested. That's it. It's going away next season. Then we've got the Into the Light, so I guess you can still get these as well. So if you're not a raider, then you can go get that.
Nerf on special weapons is meta right.
Yeah, I barely even noticed the difference with the chain reaction nerf. It's still super good. But I mean, we got area denial GLs this season, right? And attrition orbs on velocity baton and all that kind of stuff. So plus mountaintop. So there's a lot of good unique competition in the grenade launcher slot. So I think with the along with the chain reaction nerf to forbearance basically. Yeah, people just haven't been using it as much. This is another good roll. A lot of people have talked about this demo Wellspring, right? Because you're stacking 2 ability perks. I think you get, like I said, you get 10% on demo on Waveframes, and then Wellspring gives you another, I think it's 5% across the board to all of your abilities. So, and I think enhanced demo, you get like 11% instead of 10. Enhanced Wellspring, I think you get like 7% instead of 5 or something like that. So stacking demo and Wellspring, you can really play into getting a lot of grenades back. But personally, I think it's, and Indomitability, right? Because the Into the Light version, they took Soul Drinker off, right? So you're missing the healing origin trait, which is the downside to this Into the Light version, but you do get Indomitability. So you get grenade and melee energy on kills, right? So you're stacking essentially triple grenade energy regen perks with the Into the Light variant. So it's super unique in that sense, but I still feel like Wellspring is a bit of a bait perk. Like, you'd be better off with chain reaction, because then you're going to kill more enemies, which is going to give you more demo procs anyways, right? If you don't have chain reaction, then you might only kill 1 or 2 enemies instead of like 4 or 5 enemies with a shot, right? So like the gains that you get in Wellspring doesn't really compare to the gains that you would get from chain reaction, if that makes sense. Like I bet if you tested it, you would get more grenades with demo chain reaction as opposed to demo Wellspring, straight up. It's just if you're shooting only 1 enemy, then comparably, Wellspring would be better. I guess I did a Val run recently. I know I did like Master Rolk recently, which is also farmable this week. So that's another thing. This week you can go farm Master Rolk. I bet you people, just out of curiosity, I want to see, because even today when the game is kind of dead, I do still occasionally see people doing like Master Rolk. Val. Just out of curiosity. Yep, final checkpoint. 2 final checkpoints. People are looking to go get an Adept Forbearance. Or an Adept, complete challenges. So this post specifically, if you want to go get an Adept Cataclysmic, which is getting a 10% buff for next season. Linear's coming back into the meta slowly. Forbearance, you can get Forbearance with 4 perks with Soul Drinker, right? So you can do that this week because Vow is in rotation, or you can go play GMs and just see what you can get for Undercurrents before it leaves the rotation completely. So apparently all of the Arc GLs that I have are just Undercurrent and the 2 different types of Forbearances. And I can get rid of this one for sure. And I'm tempted to get rid of this demo Wellspring, but I know that it's a shiny. It's my only shiny. It's got quick launch, high velocity rounds, velocity masterwork. Another thing too, like Bungie changed the way that blast radius works on Waveframes. I don't really notice the difference, and personally, I still don't see why you would ever want to spec into blast radius over like velocity or reload speed. It's just not a noticeable difference. I think the wave goes out further with a bigger blast radius, but it doesn't really seem to be a wider wave, right? So I don't know. It doesn't really seem beneficial, big picture, to build into blast radius, even with the rework. But yeah, if this wasn't shiny, I'd probably delete it because, yeah. But so here's the one thing that they did change with the Into the Light version is demo itself. Like the original Forbearance didn't have demo, right? So that's on this one. I've got all the same. It's pretty much a 5 out of 5, and I think this is better than demo Wellspring.
I tested max radius and least and didn't notice a difference either.
Yeah, okay, so it's not just me. But I mean, yeah, there's a reason I enhanced this, even though it's not a shiny, and I didn't enhance this, even though it is a shiny. It's because I don't buy into the Wellspring thing. I don't know. Versus chain reaction. So I could delete that, but oof, it's kind of a hard decision. Just because Forbearance is like one of the most iconic weapons in the game to me, and to a lot of people. So just to delete a shiny, but it's just vanity because maybe I'll save it to do a test. I think I got to test since I've been talking about demo chain reaction versus demo Wellspring so much. Maybe I just got to test it. So I'll keep it around for now before I delete it. Once I do the test, if I prove myself right or wrong, then that can help me make a decision on what to do with it. So then for kinetic GLs, I've got Mountaintop, Ignition Code, Pardon Our Dust. That's pretty much it. So I got 2 Disorienting GLs. Seems a little bit overkill. I know Ignition Code was like a favorite, probably the favorite Disorienting GL, I think, before I started playing. Yeah, because the original one came out before Witch Queen, right? And I know that Slide Shot on it was kind of the god roll with either Frenzy or something else, but so I don't know, like it took me a long time to get this one. I guess it's this season this thing came out. Yeah, it took me a while to get this. This is a great roll. If I feel like sliding around, if I feel like playing like that, then it's a great roll. But typically, I like using Disorienting GLs like every few seconds because enemies are only blind. I mean, enemies are blinded for like what, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, something like that. So it's not like you need to spam Disorienting GLs. Like at least for me, if I'm in a GM or Nightfall or whatever, and I'm using one, it's just pull it out and shoot it every few seconds. You don't need to spam it. Like shoot it and then switch to weapons to kill things and then shoot another shot. So that's my only holdup with Slide Shot versus something like auto loading. But the thing is, if I'm going to use auto loading, I'm almost always going to use Lingering Dread with Chill Clip and Disorienting. So Pardon Our Dust isn't really something I use ever. Well, I mean, clearly I've used it. I've got 700 and something kills, but again, that's probably because I leveled it up when you couldn't use cores and Glimmer to level weapons up. But I guess as well, Disorienting, I got this Slide Shot Vorpal after I had already enhanced the Slide Shot Frenzy, and in my mind, Slide Shot Vorpal is probably better. Again, quick launch, velocity, super good roll. Frenzy's 15%, Vorpal's 15%, but Vorpal's always going to work on bosses, which is when you would actually need to actually do like direct impact damage on an enemy, as if it's a boss. Otherwise, you can just land the shot in the general vicinity of any enemies to blind them, and then it's done its utility job. But frenzy is like, if you're going to be using slide shot, then you're not using frenzy anyways, as far as for the reload. So like if I had to keep one of these, I'd be inclined to keep Vorpal instead of frenzy. It's just, again, this is wasting resources that I dumped into this. Slide shot, frenzy, or like I feel like frenzy would be better if I didn't have slide shot on there. Well, I got 1,000 Glimmer, even though I probably spent 200,000 Glimmer, 60 enhancement cores, and 6 enhancement prisms, and 2 ascendant alloys. Bungie gave me 1,000 Glimmer back. That's always good. But yeah, I think I'll just hold on to this one and then enhance that if I ever decide to use it, basically. Mountaintop. So I never got the
Pardon, our dust can go too.
Yeah, you're probably right. Especially, like I said, because I got chill clip. It's just, it would be the only lightweight auto-loading, disorienting kinetic. So I'm inclined to just keep it around for that. Just because pretty much the only time I ever use disorienting GLs, it's with auto-loading. Like, I feel like I would still use this more than ignition code. But I could always recraft this too. But then again, I'd be having to spend quite a lot. But what's the auto-loading recombination god roll for Mountaintop? Isn't it like implosion rounds or spike grenades? And see, I got unfortunate. Like, I could probably enhance this and this would be basically just as effective, but because I know that it's most optimal with spike or implosion, I don't want to dump resources into it and then all of a sudden I end up getting the one that I want. Which is basically just what happened with that ignition code that I just deleted, and the dead grammary that I deleted before that, because then I got like 3 other drops with the exact same perks.
Launch for less blast radius, but if you have spike, you can go quick launch too.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so maybe I'll just delete that. Just because I love this demo Frenzy Mountaintop, like for sustained damage, super good. Because Frenzy's going to give you more damage output than Recombination anyways. Recombination is kind of like a one-shot, an occasional one-shot. But this is like perfect for swapping between like Dragon's Breath, or just for dumping ammo into an enemy, because every shot can get 15% plus max reload, so it's essentially upping your DPS as well. So damage per shot is good, reload is at max, the occasional free reload from demo, if I end up ad clearing with it, get some grenade energy from demo and indomitability stacking together. I love this roll. This is like, yeah, even though it's not like the typical god roll Mountaintop that I know a lot of people favor, like, yeah, I love this thing. That's definitely not going anywhere with hard launch and spike, so I guess that's pretty good, right? Can't remember what the masterwork is, but yeah, so I guess I'll hold on to those 3 for now, just because there are 3 different frames, and that way I'm keeping one auto-loading disorienting. Okay, so what else? Solar. I guess I could do Solar next. We got Martyr's Retribution, Explosive Personality, Wild Style, bring those over. I've got 2 wild styles that I can compare. Martyr's Retribution, man, this thing. I was super excited about that. Too bad that it just kind of... They just released it in the area denial frame meta, right? So it just hasn't really got much attention. But I've used this a bit in, like, I mean, low-end content, like overthrows and stuff, and it's freaking nuts. I mean, it's very, very good. I believe I have a reload masterwork on this as well. Yeah, see, I'm up at 89 reload. With quick launch, high velocity rounds. So, I mean, that's, you know, it's got all the heal clip synergy that I could ask for. I mean, Cast No Shadows doesn't really do much for the whole heal clip identity, but I'm never really building into my weapons for the origin trait alone anyways. It's just kind of more like a bonus. But yeah, I mean, this is essentially solar forbearance. Really good. Sounds really good too. Let's shoot it real quick. But I do want I want demo and incandescent as well. So if I ever decided to go for the demo roll, I'll probably just go farm what's it called, Enigma Protocol. Farm the first chest because you can get infinite double perk rolls. So I mean, get 4 perks on one single Martyr's Retribution. Potentially I can get a roll with heal clip, demo, and incandescent. And I think this was weight gated, the demo incandescent perk, until recently as well. Because I've focused at least like 70 of these things, no joke, and I've never got demo and incandescent. Incandescent, demo, yeah, they're 3 perks apart, so it is the actual weight gated combo, right? So if Bungie fixed weight gating for real, then now would be the time to go and farm for demo and incandescent, right? Or just avoid that whole situation to begin with, even before, and just go for the double perks, or the like 4 perks on one weapon. But yeah, that'd be the best. You can also get like auto loading, Envious Assassin, but usually if I'm using wave frames, I'm spamming them, so I don't like that. I don't need auto loading for it, because if I'm gonna be on the weapon, I'm gonna be on the weapon. So threat detector would be good for max reload. Field prep if you're crouching and sliding. But yeah, top tier waveframe GL. Wild style. So I mean, this is the wild style that I would use typically. It took me a while to get the Vorpal roll, but this is essentially what I have on my Wilder Flight, except it's auto loading, not reconstruction. But yeah, I mean, it is a good, like, if you're looking at it purely from the perspective of it being a disorienting GL, then this is great. I mean, the double fire frames are better disorienting GLs than like lightweights. I mean, as far as blast radius for like the number of enemies that you can blind in a single shot, because the 2 shots, it shoots 2 shots and they spread out, so therefore you're like maybe doubling the blast radius almost. And if you decide to just shoot a champ or a tanky enemy with it, you're hitting them with 2 grenades, and it's therefore doing more impact damage. So it has like really good burst damage as well, which is why I go for Vorpal on it, right? So I can use it for the utility of blinding, but at the same point I can use it to chunk down champions and yellow bars and stuff like that. I know supposedly you can use it in damage rotations versus like dungeon and raid bosses too, but I've never seen anybody do that with these types of GLs. And I've thought about it before, but it's like, it just seems to me like it'd just be more efficient to use like a sniper rifle or a fusion rifle that you can do sustained damage with, as opposed to like a one-shot reload type of weapon. But I could probably get rid of the incandescent. I don't know, it's kind of hard though, because like if I'm using this purely for the disorienting and the utility, then you're shooting at a lot of weaker enemies very often, and therefore like incandescent could be pretty good. I haven't tested this yet, but as soon as I got it, because I was kind of farming for it, I just masterworked it immediately. So I do need to go test that. Then explosive personality. I mean, this can definitely, I think this could probably go for sure. I never really used it to begin with because it didn't have, well, I mean, we got it in Season of Risen when we got Forbearance, right? And Forbearance has Soul Drinker and Unrelenting in the left column instead of the right, and it has Chain Reaction, and this thing doesn't have any kind of like AoE ad clear perk, really. I know it has One for All, but... And Land Tank is a very good origin trait as well, like for damage resistance, but if you're comparing it to something like Soul Drinker, yeah, I'm just checking what it rolls on Dim. One for All, Golden Tricorn, Frenzy, Unrelenting. So I mean, it's just kind of a boring weapon. Like it doesn't have anything cool on it, basically. So I could pretty much delete that because Martyr's Retribution, same frame, way better. Heal Clip, Demo, Incandescent. I think it even has Martyrs. Let me check Martyrs again real quick, because I think it even has like better damage perks or just as good. Yeah, you can get Vorpal on it, Desperate Measures, Adrenaline Junkie. Nah, if I was going to use a damage perk on Martyrs, it'd be Desperate Measures or Vorpal. Well, I guess Desperate Measures, because that's like up to 33% damage, and I'm not necessarily using this on bosses only, and Desperate Measures would apply to all enemy types, so no reason to keep Explosive Personality. Bit of a shame, just because it's from like my OG Season of the Risen, and I dumped a lot of resources into this, but I never really used it.
Since you reload every time.
Yeah, it would be. Like, yeah, for sure. I mean, it would be 20% on every shot. But then the problem I have is that just like the splash damage perks on Waveframe GLs for me just seem way too good to pass up. So like Incandescent can give you, yeah, it's less damage per shot, but you can kill more enemies per shot. I mean, especially if you're just shooting it at red bars, which is mainly where you're using Waveframes. And then like Chain Reaction on Forbearance, Volt Shot on Undercurrents, Harsh Language, which I'm going to get to next, which I use on Gerfalcons, and then it's like Volatile Explosion. So that's like anytime I'm using Waveframes, it's for like the massive AoE type of effects. So I feel like the damage perks like Desperate Measures, Kill Clip, all that kind of stuff would be better suited to like GLs that do impact damage, like Wild Style. Or Mountaintop. So yeah, so I'm just gonna keep those 3 solar GLs for now. What else? So I still got Stasis to go through and Void. Well, I guess I'll go into Void. Oh boy, Void's gonna be a big one since I still have a bunch of Velocity Batons that I haven't deleted. I did, between my last stream and this stream, I went back into Vespers to do a little bit of solo practice on a different build for Puppeteer. And so I masterworked my 3rd Velocity Baton, thinking it would be more optimal for what I was trying to do. So now I've got 3 masterworked Velocity Batons. And the ones that I'm keeping I'm sure I'm keeping them for a reason, so this is going to be tough. Is that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It says I have 8. 1, 2, that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So why aren't they carrying over? Not enough room. Okay, well, how about I stow that? Now, is there enough room? Yep. There we go. Okay, so velocity batons, wilder flight, harsh language. I'm gonna need a sip of coffee for this one. Okay, so like I was saying with the wild style that I have with disorienting reconstruction Vorpal, right? The reason I farmed for that role on wild style is because this was my wilder flight that I love. I love this thing. I was fortunate to get this role from Spire the Watcher pretty early on, like before I even realized what kind of role I was going to want on this thing. So I've used this an absolute ton. Too bad we can't enhance it. But yeah, this is a friggin' awesome utility GL, and just for chunking out champs and heavier, tankier enemies with Vorpal, super good. But again, same concept, right? 2 grenades, double the blast radius. Yeah, I know. So like, I mean, it is. I guess it's a little too bad I don't have quick launch or hard launch, right? So I could do better, but the fact that I got disorienting and spike in the same role is already pretty good too, because then I can, and I have done this before too. Like, so I could be using this like pre-damage phase with disorienting, and then when I switch to my damage loadout, I'm using the exact same weapon, but I'll just have spike enabled, right? Then I can occasionally chunk at the boss for a whopping 2% more damage. But I mean, it's kind of the whole point is to just be min-maxing that type of stuff. So yeah, great GL. I've used that way more than wild style, but that was also before we got area denial GLs, and disorienting GLs have kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. So, well, I got harsh language as well. So a lot of people have told me in chat during these live streams that a couple of people have brought up harsh language, which is odd because like I never see anybody talking about this weapon or using it in LFGs or Fireteam Finder posts. Like, yeah, pretty rare. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people tell me that Wellspring and Destabilizing Rounds is a really good combo, which to me makes a ton of sense. I never really thought about that, and if I do get a roll with that combo, I'll probably keep it for, well, not just because Destabilizing Rounds are getting a buff, right? You're going to get Volatile Rounds from Destabilizing Rounds now, but that would be a great roll on like Sentinel with Controlled Demolition. I mean, for sure, because like, and like I was saying, with waveframes, the whole point is to do like splash damage, ad clear. So destabilizing automatically makes sense on a waveframe. But then to get volatile healing for you and your teammates on basically every kill would be very good. But I basically have the same effect with this harsh language because I only use it on Gerfalcon's Hauberk on Night Stalker, on Hunter. With repulsor brace. So I mean, this basically is void flavored forbearance on that build specifically, right? Every kill you get a void overshield, and void overshields have been buffed, and you're doing area of effect volatile explosions all over the place all the time, right? And going invis. It's absolutely nuts. This thing is like fireworks. It's crazy. And then with stats for all, you basically get max reload speed because you're always hitting at least 3 targets. So a bit of a sleeper, that one. So I'm definitely not getting rid of that, even if it is mainly just used for one build. But like I said, there is that option with destabilizing rounds to make it a little bit more universal to other builds, and specifically good on controlled demo Titan. Then for VS Velocity Baton, I mean, so this was literally the first drop I got out of Vesper's Host. Demo attrition orbs. First weapon I got, first combo, and so I was like, oh, that's so cool. I just got my first dungeon weapon, so I went straight over to test it in Terminal Overload, which is where I usually just go to dick around and test some weapons, just because the enemies there are tanky, right? They're like legend version or expert level enemies, so I think you're like 15 power levels below them, so it's kind of a good testing ground. Like if you do a lot of GMs, master content and stuff like that, it's basically the best testing ground where you can just go in casually and test stuff. So I tested it in there. I was like, what the hell is going on with this? Like I shot the yellow bar mini boss Cabal dude that flies around all over the map. You know, like you kill him and he drops a chest. He just kind of spawns at random times. I was using it on him, and then it was just like he was just shitting out orbs, like 4, 5, 6 orbs from like 2, 3 shots from this thing. I was like, what? Yeah. So then I made a video on it and I put it on YouTube, and I thought for sure nobody else had a video on it, but somebody did, and they had like I think it was Duck. I think Duck had a video, because I looked it up after the fact, after I'd already posted it, and yeah, he had already posted the exact same role, and he had like 10 times the amount of views on the video. But yeah, that's funny. So first thing I got, and still very good. Definitely not getting rid of it. But I do have this other attrition orbs roll that I think I might end up using more now than demo. Because I mean, let's face it, the real broken perk on this thing is attrition orbs, right? It's not demo, it's attrition orbs specifically. I mean, demo is just a nice beneficiary of all of the ad clear kills and everything like that, the occasional free reload, but we're using this thing for attrition orbs, right? So then, yeah, Unrelenting, like I was using Lost Signal with Unrelenting in Vesper's Host, and that was giving me guaranteed heals on killing the puppet clones, like in the red room and the blue room. If I wasn't able to go up and consecrate and get knockout, I could just sit at the back of the map and spam Lost Signal with Unrelenting and get a guaranteed kill, go grab the nuke, bring it into the nuke room safely, topped up on health. So I basically decided to do a version like that, but on Velocity Baton. So I mean, this one I also get the heal guaranteed, but then I'm also, you know, shitting out orbs. So super good. So when I go to do my solo Vespers coming up, which I may tackle on Thursday if I can get through this vault. Even if I can't get through the vault, I might have to put the vault on hold because I got to get it done. But yeah, I'm going to be using this weapon for Puppeteer for the entire encounter on a different build than what I did last time. So it's going to come in clutch, red room, blue room, and then attrition orbs is going to come in clutch for damage phase. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll just show you what I'm going to be using. Right. So for Vespers, I already did the solo with like trying to be like, you know, one of the young speedrunners. Except it was half as effective, but I was pretty proud of myself for doing it nonetheless. Where's the build? Yeah, I guess that's it. Right, so this is how I did Vespers. This is how I did solo Puppeteer. I did Tanash's, demo attrition orbs, Anarchy, right? Demo's definitely very nice with Transcendence because you can spam your Transcendent grenades and get free reloads on this thing. So that's pretty good, but uh, it took me like friggin' 9 hours to solo Puppeteer, like 9 hours of practicing that method, that tactic, right? Running around, consecrating, anarchy spamming, T-crash spamming, all that kind of stuff. Super effective, of course, but I was like, I still solo 4-phased. I could have 3-phased, but I ended up solo 4-phasing. But it took so much practice winding up to it. So I don't really feel super comfortable trying to do my solo flawless with the exact same build. Like, I already proved to myself that I can solo Puppeteer that way. So I'm fine. Now I'm going to do the old man free strat, and I'm gonna go on Lorelei, which I refused to ever do before. But now that I know I can do the fun strat, the risky strat, I'm probably gonna do the solo flawless with Lorelei sit at the back of the map, and I'm gonna use this with when I go to start damage phase. Where's the build? Yes. So when I go to do damage, I could swap between Dragon's Breath, Velocity Baton, and Hung Jury. And this might seem kind of weird, but I tested this, and this is also essentially solo 4-phase damage for me, which is pretty good. 5-phase consistently, 4-phase if I'm optimal. Did a bit of testing. So Velocity Baton obviously debuff the boss, but it's also going to be spawning all kinds of orbs around the boss, which means that I just have to swap over to Shoot to Loot with Kinetic Tremors every now and then. And I'm literally going to have triple Solar Weapon Surge the entire damage phase for a whole minute and a half or 2 minutes or whatever, right? Because Kinetic Tremors is constantly going to be picking up the orbs from range while I'm sitting nice and cozy behind my barricade at the back of the map, avoiding the lightning strikes. So that's the strat there, right? That's why I have that role, but also because Unrelenting is just invaluable all around, right? Then, of course, I've got Repulsor Destabilizer rounds because that's like, well, if you want to spam this, if Attrition Orbs ever gets nerfed, especially, then you can't really go wrong with Repulsor Destabilizer rounds. It's essentially turns this thing into more of an ad clear GL. So it's, a little bit more in line with like Waveframes as far as purpose goes. But you're gonna, like, it's pretty fun to use. I mean, you're doing a lot of splash damage, a lot of volatile kills would be very good on Sentinel again, and Destabilizing is getting a buff. So there's that, right? So that's the 3 Velocity Batons that I dumped all kinds of resources into, and then what I have left here is Repulsor Attrition Orbs, which is also hard to delete. Like, especially this season. I mean, this season, technically, Repulsor Attrition Orbs would probably be more viable than Unrelenting, because you're basically, if you're using Concussive Reload, then you're debuffing every enemy, right, with a Void Weaken, which means you're going to proc Repulsor Brace. But I do think Concussive Reload only works on bosses, like yellow bars and stuff, so you're not going to get the Void Overshield as regularly this season as you would like getting heals from Unrelenting. So Unrelenting, Repulsor, I mean, they basically serve the same function to give you health back, but Unrelenting is going to be more reliable, especially long term, right? Like when we don't have Concussive Reload. So maybe, I would keep this around for Falcons, basically. Repulsor Attrition. I mean, it'd be like Attrition Orbs would be very good on Void too, on your Falcons, because then you could pick up your orbs for Devour. You'd have volatile rounds on it all the time, which means you'd always have Void Overshield. So it's hard to delete that as well. It's just, would I use Harsh Language with volatile rounds on your Falcons, or would I use Velocity Baton? Unrelenting Adagio, I don't feel like I need. I definitely don't feel like I need Adagio, even though it is a 20% buff. Or is it more than that? I think I think big picture it's 20%. Like I think it's 30%, but with the decreased rate of fire, it nets out at closer to 20% or something like that. And then the only reason I have this one and I'm having trouble getting rid of it is because of the 50% potential damage perk from under over and 30% from bait and switch. So multiplicatively, this is the absolute most amount of damage that Velocity Baton could do, right? And it would require like a subjugator or a barrier or shielded enemies, but I mean, if I was up against those types of enemies, like I don't really think I'd be using this weapon to do damage anyways. It'd just be more for the function of debuffing and building up transcendent energy. I think I'd almost always prefer to be on attrition orbs, right? Unless they nerf attrition orbs. So the only one I feel like I can get rid of confidently is Unrelenting Adagio. Just because even though Adagio is a pretty nice perk, like I think bait and switch is obviously better, right? And there I've got a double damage perk. This could be infusion fodder. 2010, 2010, 2010. I think I'll take a 50-50 shot at an enhancement core. Yeah, and then I'll keep this around for Gerfalcons, I guess, or Briarbinds even. Yeah, I'll keep that around for now, but it's kind of more of a meme. So yeah, unfortunately, keeping a lot of Void waveframes around for now. What else do I got? Okay. I've only got 2 stasis waveframes, or GLs, period. So I'll carry those over and compare them. Tusk of the Boar, so when I was farming for Tanash's Mastery at the last Iron Banner event, not this current one, since I had prestiged 4 times and I was basically spending all of my Iron Banner engrams, I decided to dump some into Tusk of the Boar as well, because I never had... It was the first PvP I'd done in like 2 years, so of course I didn't have Tusk of the Boar when it first came out, like whenever that was in Lightfall sometime. So I decided to farm up some Tusk of the Boars as well. Ultimately, what I want, though, I think more than these two is Slice and Chain Reaction. But I've demonstrated this one in action in my top 3 Titan builds video. It's pretty good. I mean, like if you're using Scars like how I was using it, Spirit of Scars, then you're going to heal, like with Blade Fury, of course, then you're going to heal on every kill. So you can basically kind of turn it into that Forbearance type of vibe where you get healing and splash damage. But yeah, Chain Reaction, again, like you said, Giovanni, it's like I barely notice the difference. I mean, this thing is still shoot it into a spawning group of ads, especially if there's mostly red bars in there, you're pretty much going to kill them all, or at least half of them. Like you're going to kill multiple enemies on every kill. So very good. Slideways with Consecration Titan, Lightning Surge, Warlock. If you're somebody that just likes to slide around, can't go wrong with that. It's a free reload. It's also a weapon that you're kind of meant to spam a lot, so you know it's not an awkward way to play with this waveframe, basically, to get in the habit of sliding around. But Slice is also hard to pass up because that's 40% damage reduction essentially that you're applying to the enemy. I kept this one around for obviously like the double strand combo here, Slice and Hatchling. Not that they're necessarily synergistic together in any way, but if I was on like some kind of strand build where I'm using fragment, because there's a fragment that you can use to extend the duration of Sever, and then of course there's stuff you can use for Hatchling. So I mean, this is a pretty good perk combo, especially if you're like proccing unraveling rounds as well. Since you don't have chain reaction, you can add some more AoE to it, which is pretty cool. But I'd say like probably 90% of the time I'm gonna choose chain reaction, right? It's just I would like to have a second option to slideways, because I pretty much only like slideways on my Consecration Titan, right? Or if I'm on Lightning Surge. But yeah, so I have dupes there, not getting rid of those yet, and I'm just keeping Slice Hatchling mainly for like probably like a Swarmers build or something like that. Then Stasis GL's got quite a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Stasis GLs. Yeah, so here I get to talk a little bit about liturgy. Yeah, so as far as disorienting GLs, I think Lingering Dread is best in slot. Probably in the entire game for disorienting, because it's a lightweight, you're blinding, you got chill clip, you got auto loading. It just fits the whole playstyle perfectly, right? And fits into any type of endgame content because of chill clip. 1-shot overloads, 2-shot unstops. Applying slow has, build synergy implications as well, which is nice. Came from essentially my favorite dungeon. Looks great. Super good weapon. Hopefully we'll be getting some like adept duality weapons or some reworks to the perk pools. Be able to enhance these. I do foresee that coming, but this thing is like just one of my all-time favorite weapons in the game, and probably the most nostalgic because it's from my first, essentially my first dungeon, duality. Yeah, I think it's superior to liturgy, personally. But I think liturgy has a place, like for spike grenades. Like if you're going to use it to do damage, disorienting is always nice. Don't get me wrong, but the whole concept behind liturgy, since it doesn't roll auto loading, is to spam it, right? Slideways. So I mean, you shoot it, whereas normally you'd be inclined to shoot a blinding GL and then switch to weapons to do damage. With this thing, when you shoot it, you're inclined to stay on the weapon and then slide with it. So it's kind of awkward compared to Lingering Dread. Like it implies that you have to play a lot differently with it. Like you got to spam it a lot. So something like Chill Clip is always going to be good on it, especially if you're spamming it, because then you're going to get more freezes, right, as opposed to just the occasional slow. But Chain Reaction is also really good on this thing with Slideways. Well, I wouldn't say really good, but it's pretty good. I still think Waveframe GLs are better chain reaction weapons, and for ad clear in general. But yeah, I'm not super keen on this, even though this is the god roll, disorienting slideways chill clip. I mean, when I say the god roll, I mean like what other content creators are suggesting is the god roll. But before I got the Slideways chill clip, I did get Rhyme Stealer chill clips, which I decided to enhance for whatever reason. I mean, it's nice that this has spike and hard launch, so like if I really wanted to just use this thing to spam it for chill clip, that would be a good roll, right? Mainly for playing into Frost Armor, which you can get automatically by two-shotting enemies. You're going to set off the freeze and then you shatter them, so then you're going to get 2 stacks of buffed Frost Armor, right? Because Frost Armor is getting a buff next season. If you enhance Rhyme Stealer, you get 2 stacks of Frost Armor instead of 1. So next season, essentially, you would be getting, 13% DR from kills, right? As long as you're shattering stasis crystals, shattering frozen enemies, right? So I mean, that's kind of cool. It might be useful in certain situations, but yeah, no, I'm generally not super excited about liturgy. In fact, I'm even tempted to delete Slideways Chill Clip, just because I know if I'm playing Disorienting, I'm just going to be using Lingering Dread. And I don't have, I have a Blast Radius Masterwork on this. I don't have Quick Launch. I don't have Hard Launch. So it's just a 3 out of 5. So it's not even like a 4 out of 5. There. And I'm even tempted to delete Rhyme Stealer Chill Clip, but I'm going to keep it around for the reasons I listed, I think. Okay, so then Lost Signal. Why do I only have one Lost Signal on? There we go. So my original Lost Signal is auto-loading Vorpal. 3,000 kills somehow, level 105. So yeah, this was my first one, and I figured, well, this is great because I could use it like a Wither Horde, use it in a damage rotation versus a boss or even champions and what have you for guaranteed 15% damage, right? A little bit easier, a little bit more practical to proc than something like One for All if you're just trying to focus bosses, for example, right? So I kind of had Wither Horde in mind when I crafted it this way, essentially. But then I started trying to solo Vesper's Host. So then I crafted this because, yeah, I mean, I think Unrelenting goes way further for you on special weapons than it does on primary. I don't know if it's just because I'm killing more often or if it, in fact, does give you more healing from being a special weapon. But either way, when you kill, if you're killing multiple enemies, right, I think the way Unrelenting works is it's just if you kill red bars, it's not a guaranteed kill. You might have to kill like 2, maybe even 3 red bars to get healing, which is why it's not noticeable on on my Forbearance with Chain Reaction. Forbearance with Chain Reaction, I already stowed it, but because you're pretty much always getting 3 kills with Forbearance and Chain Reaction, so Unrelenting is always proccing. But with Lost Signal, or with primaries, I should say, Unrelenting is not that good because you're usually not killing 2 enemies at a time with primaries. But with special weapons, you are, so Unrelenting can proc way more often. And then on yellow bars, it's a guaranteed heal, right? So this was like my main discovery trying to solo Vespers. Red room, blue room, as I've already explained, it's a guaranteed heal. Like if you can't consecrate knockout heal from the puppets in the red room and the blue room, you could sit at the back of the map and you could spam Lost Signal with Unrelenting and get a guaranteed heal. I mean, it's pretty clutch. So and the fact that Vorpal on area denial GLs, it's not like area denial GLs are not that great at single target damage anyways. Looking at it big picture, like if you're going to use a special weapon to damage a boss and do damage, you're going to use a sniper rifle, a fusion rifle, a shotgun. You're going to use a double fire frame GL, right? There's a lot of different weapons and archetypes that you're going to use to do more damage to bosses than something like Lost Signal, right? This is more for building super energy, building transcendent energy, just doing damage over time, right? Being an area denial frame. It's not like do massive damage to a big target. So that's where I'm kind of feeling outdated on my decision to use Vorpal. It's not that I'm not going to use it again, but just Unrelenting to save my ass way too many times now. especially trying to solo Vespers. So I'm going to keep them both for now. Then what else? I've got New Pacific Epitaph, so Unrelenting Kill Clip. So I mean, there's my Waveframe Kill Clip, but I think that's the only damage perk that you can get on this thing. What else can you get on it? This thing's from Ghosts of the Deep, and everybody was super excited when we heard that we were going to be getting a Stasis Waveframe GL with Ghosts of the Deep. But then it didn't roll. It doesn't have chill clip or anything like that, so it's kind of like it's basically just another explosive personality, just kind of like a vanilla Waveframe GL. It doesn't do anything fancy. I think the only thing I've used this thing in is PvP, ironically. Like when I farmed Iron Banner for Tusk of the Boar, I was basically using like Trespasser and this thing. With like a glacial grenade. Like I'd throw a glacial grenade out and then break the grenade with this thing. Potentially get some healing and potentially proc kill clip. So I haven't even used it in PvE. But the only other perks it has is Collective Action for 20% damage, just like kill clip, but you gotta pick up stasis shards or ionic traces or elemental pickups, so that's not necessarily practical. Like kill clip you're pretty much going to have on every shot except for the first one. Like you got to get that first kill to get it going, and then you can essentially keep it up. But actually wait, kill clip's 25%, so it's even better. Then it does have redirection too, but I don't really know how redirection works. I've never really used it, so I don't really feel comfortable with that one. That, and I'm not going to farm any more of these, so I'll probably just keep that around since it's the only Stasis Waveframe. Yeah, just kind of an unfortunate set of perks for PvE. Okay, so I think that's it for grenade launchers. I pretty much went over every single grenade launcher. So, trace rifles next. I think I can, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can get through the special ammo weapons this stream for sure. Maybe get into machine guns. So next I've got trace rifles. I've only got 6 to compare. Probably nothing to delete, so not much to talk about. Glaives, I've got 15 glaives. As far as the trace rifles, so trace rifles next season are getting, what, a 20% buff? If I'm not mistaken. So Bungie's trying to bring these back in line, kind of give them a place in the sandbox amongst rocket sidearms and what, Waveframe GLs, I guess. Because if you're talking like ad clear, good ammo economy type of special weapons, it's pretty much rocket sidearms, area denial GLs, Waveframe GLs, and trace rifles. But trace rifles are still like more unique because then you can like shoot panels. You know, it's precision damage, so definitely different. I got rid of my crafted acacias because I got this field prep incandescent that I like a lot, especially on Cenotath if I'm on like a solar build. Path of least resistance, shoot to loot volt shot, great for Cenotath again. Hollow denial, I feel like hollow denial and this chronophage, like probably never going to use either of them. Somehow I got 2,000 kills on this. I don't know. I think I used this on Falcons again. I don't know. And then I've got 2 solar trace rifles. I guess I just have this one because it has shoot to loot. I mean, if I'm going to use a special weapon with shoot to loot, which sounds inefficient, but I mean, trace rifle would be the most efficient way to use shoot to loot. Like if you're going to burn ammo to get ammo, it's probably way more practical to use a trace rifle to do that. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. Oh, and appetence with demo attrition orbs. I know you can get like killing tally, and I think you can get overflow or something like that. But I crafted this amongst all the hype of velocity baton with demo attrition orbs, so I wanted to kind of test that out. But haven't really used it. We'll see if I use it more in Heresy. Who knows? 20% buff. Okay, so it looks like I probably have some stuff to get rid of in Glaives because I still have quite a few rake angles. I guess I can bring the rake angles over. Move to Titan from Dim. Oh man. So I think I had about 70 or 75 rake angles adept at one point, just from playing that first week of when rake angle dropped in Light Blade. I literally just did that GM over and over for the entire week. Like all my gaming sessions was basically farming this thing, and I got every chill clip roll. I got literally every roll that you can get as far as perk combinations. And for some reason, I've only masterworked one, but I still have 6 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, it says the same thing on Dim. So obviously, there's the overflow chill clip. And even though I had 75 rolls or whatever, I never got extended mag with overflow chill clip, right? So I don't have that kind of the meme god roll where you can shoot like the most amount of chill clip shots. But personally, I still haven't done much glaive gameplay since we did get this glaive. It's just, I knew it was going to be something to obviously get and hold on to, so I farmed it up anyways. But I don't really foresee myself spamming the projectiles very much.
W glaive melee next act.
I think I saw something about glaives in the live stream today. I know we're getting like unstopped fusion rifles, I believe, and we are getting some major buffs to glaives as well, right? So that's actually important to point out as I go through these glaives. Glaives are going to be getting, I mean, the most notable change that I can think of off the top of my head is to the melee function of glaives. So now, actually, I can equip and show.
I meant with the melee part.
With the melee part. Oh, well, as far as that goes, I doubt it, right? It seems like the melee never gets the benefit from anything other than close to melee. Historically speaking, every time we've had glaives in the artifact, it's been for unstops, and it's only worked on the projectile. I'm pretty sure. Unless somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's just off the top of my head, I think you had to shoot the projectile to stun unstops. But yeah, but I mean, EV Apartments, if you have chill clip, then I mean, you don't need the seasonal artifact, right? I mean, you can always stun overloads and unstops. I mean, it's one shot to overload, right? Because slow is gonna stun the overload. 2 shots is gonna freeze an unstop, and then you just gotta shatter them to freeze them. So that's why this thing is so good. But the buff that they're giving glaives, all glaives, are gonna be, oh, you can't even demonstrate it because there's no enemy to. The animation changes, I guess, when you have an enemy that you're hitting. But normally, on the third swing, you do like a special animation where it's like a bigger jab, right? So you kind of do like 2 fast swipes, and then the third one is kind of like a big stab. So they're making it so that third one is double damage. Like, it just used to always do the exact same damage as all the other swings. Now it's going to be that third combo. Like, the third one is essentially going to be, it's going to get like a combo benefit. Is a way to look at it, I guess. So that's going to be pretty good. Double damage on that third swing. But yeah, I am curious. I need to look at what's in the artifact for next season. That's like I'm anxious to find out. I know we're getting barrier sidearms again, which is interesting because when they're explaining it on the live stream, they're like, "Oh, it's been years since we've had barrier sidearms." Like, bro, you just gave us barrier sidearms for 7 months in Season of the Wish with Indebted Kindness. Like, everybody was just running around one-shotting barriers for 7 months straight. What do you mean it's been years? Like, that was just 2 seasons ago. Anyways, I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, obviously the guy that was talking from Bungie wasn't playing much during Season of the Wish. But yeah, so we're getting barrier sidearms back, which is going to be great for rocket sidearms. With Foe Tracer, like, what do you mean? Yeah, so I've got Overflow, Replenishing Aegis. I mean, they're both great perks. Barrier. I'm still not too sure what you mean. You just mean like Foe Tracer's going to be good on barriers? I love Foe Tracer personally. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. That's probably my favorite spirit for, at least for relativism, for the Hunter Cloak. Spirit of Foe Tracer. Great exotic. Well, Foe Tracer's getting the buff. Is that what you mean? It's getting 15 seconds of ×4 weapon search, as opposed to 10 seconds. Yeah, that's probably what you mean, isn't it? I'm super excited about that. That's going to be really good. Especially on like stasis builds, any builds where you have damage over time, because then you're basically going to automatically reproc Foe Tracer. Right, because you can't refresh the Foe Tracer timer, basically, very easily. Like, you kind of need, like, tick damage over time. Otherwise, you have to spend a whole new ability every 15 seconds to get it to keep going. But something like Silence and Squall or Duskfield or Scorch from Knife Trick would basically all allow you to extend your Foe Tracer procs. But, so Rake Angle, I've got another Overflow chill clip with Pugilist. Do I need Pugilist on a glaive? Like, if I'm on a glaive, I'm not using my melee, typically, right? Because I got a glaive in my hands, so you can't even use your melee. So I'm not going to use a glaive to get melee energy, so it just doesn't make sense to me. So I could probably get rid of that one. Pugilist and close to melee, however, well, again, I mean, I'd probably use Rhyme Stealer and close to melee. I know Rhyme Stealer and Chill Clip is like an obvious combo to go for, but do I even have Rhyme Stealer Chill Clip? Okay, that Surrounded is 47% damage on projectiles, which is kind of hard to ignore, but it's also kind of hard to foresee myself using glaive projectiles, basically, right? Unless it's to proc close to melee. Like, I'm never dumping glaive projectiles. And it's not that I think the glaive projectiles are bad. I just think compared to, like, fusion rifles, shotguns, other burst damage options that are specials, glaives are just too slow, too awkward to use, and just not as good at it, right? It's like the main strength is the shield and the melee. So I could probably get rid of Surrounded. So then I've got Impulse Chill Clip, which is just universally a good roll. I mean, max reload speed. Well, is it max? No, it's not max, but it's you get a substantial amount of reload speed. Max velocity, though, or increased velocity, again, would be good. Like, you definitely do, like, if you are going to use the projectile, velocity is always good on glaives. So, Impulse is pretty good here. And another thing, too, this thing rolls with Hake, so it does have that chill clip stasis synergy with Hake. But likewise, Stunning Recovery. Like, this is such a good champion glaive. I mean, chill clip with Stunning Recovery, you stun an overload with one shot, boom, your ammo. You refill the mag from Stunning Recovery for more chill clip shots, right? Same for unstops. Or if you just want, like if you're playing Rhyme Stealer chill clip, you could probably go Hake, right? And just make a lot of stasis crystals from your build. Shatter them with the glaive. And by the way, aggressive frame Hake glaives, well, I think that's just because all of the aggressive frame glaives that we have are Hake, because Judgment of Kelgaroth is also a Hake, I believe. Well, I think it has the option between Ambush and Hake from Seraph. But this thing one swipe stasis crystals. Like, because I know that because Judgment of Kelgaroth, I used it on a stasis build for some content or something, and it was like the glaive melee was one-shotting stasis crystals. All other glaives will not do that. Like, you have to basically 2-swipe them or even 3-swipe them, I think. So I don't know if it's because of Hake or if it's just because it's an aggressive frame. I think it's just because it's an aggressive frame and it does more impact. But yeah, that is a pretty nice feature. So why don't I have Rhyme Stealer Chill Clip is what I'm wondering. Did I actually delete it or never get that roll? Is it possible? Is it possible getting 70, 75 Adept Rake angles that I never got Rhyme Stealer Chill Clip? I swear I had one. I think I just deleted it for some reason. But if I was to keep it close to melee, which I think I should, because aggressive frames are good for melee damage.
Could be.
Yeah. I think Overflow Replenishing Aegis is good enough with Chill Clip that I don't need Impulse Amplifier. Especially like the other options on this thing don't look that great. I'll just delete that. Rhyme Stealer close to melee. So Rhyme Stealer Pugilist or Rhyme Stealer Pugilist. Exact same thing. Light mag, increased reload speed, extended mag, so I can go either way.
It's PvP God Roll XD Impulse Chill.
Is it? Well, like I said, the only thing I use in PvP when I play it every 2 years is New Pacific Epitaph and Trespasser. Or Brigand's Law and Witherhoard or some cheesy noob tube. So which one of these would I keep? Alloy, fast reload when the mag is nearly empty, or light mag, or that has a range masterwork. What's the other one? Reload masterwork. I'd definitely rather have that because there's no overflow or anything like that. So that's that one, right? Yeah. So I'll get rid of this one. Okay, so I have a close to melee and I have a chill clip. There we go. Several months later, I've whittled my 75 rake angles down to 2. Okay, so then that's the first bunch I've gone through. I've got 3 solar glaives, which I'll bring them over. I had a nice Adept Lubres too that I got rid of. This thing, don't ask me why I put tilting at windmills. at one point, I decided to craft this thing with proving grounds in mind and just shielding the friggin' fireballs, right? That the boss in the boss room. And so I was like literally just crafting this thing with that encounter of the Grandmaster in mind. And so I was thinking, blocking damage with your shield increases movement speed for an improved duration while you're shielding. That with Unstoppable Force, pretty nice, because when you do block damage, then you get like that, I don't know, max projectile speed. So I was just thinking this was going to be like the best blocking glaive that I can craft. So I did that, and I don't even think I ever used it to do what I thought about, what I had intended for it. I don't even think I experimented with it in Proving Grounds yet. So I basically never used this roll specifically. I think it rolls Grave Robber too. Like generally, like if I'm gonna have a glaive, I'd rather have Grave Robber. But I guess I'll keep it around for that niche, super niche scenario where I just want to be like a tank and just block stuff all the time, and that's it. Then Judgment of Kelgaroth. This is probably it's probably my favorite glaive. Definitely was before Rake Angle came out, but now that Rake Angle's out, exact same model, exact same frame, exact same origin trait. But Rake Angle rolls Chill Clip. So, I mean, Rake Angle has the utility, but this obviously has the synergy with a solar build. And Demo, I mean, the other Rake Angle doesn't roll with Demo, and Demo is like 20% on glaives, right? So, I mean, you could top up your grenade energy real fast with this thing when you do use the melee, or the projectile, to proc close to melee, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the rhythm of close to melee is mostly melee, but every now and then shoot an enemy, right? So pretty nice synergy there with Demo. I'm a big fan of this glaive. And then I think I just crafted it so it was basically maxing out like handling, increased reload, increased handling. Yeah, I don't know. I like handling. But yeah, that's the OG Rake Angle right there. And then there's this piece of crap. Hate to say it. I mean, it's a pretty cool looking weapon. I think it's the first rapid fire that we got in the game from Ghosts of the Deep. But again, like all the rolls on this thing are designed for ad clear, which I don't ever do with glaives if it's not the melee. Right? Obviously, you're ad clearing like a madman with the melee, but not the projectile. If Incandescent worked on the melee, this would probably be the best glaive in the game, but it'd probably be one of the best weapons in the game, which is why none of the perks work with the melee, which is unfortunate, except for close to melee. So I don't even know why I've kept this. This has just like been sitting in my vault. Literally, have I even fired this? I don't even think I've ever fired this thing, like any of these. If I am going to delete it, I at least got to shoot it first. I mean, it does feel nice to shoot. And Incandescent is always nice. It feels like it has a lot of ammo in a mag, too. It is a cool looking glaive. Yeah, this is the first time I even equip it and shoot it. I mean, if glaives are getting that buff, because it's not just the third melee that's getting the double damage buff. Like, there's a bunch of other reworks to the glaives. Like, they're getting aim assist, like better aim assist. I think less range fall off, some other stats. So maybe I should keep this Greasy Luck. But this thing also rolls with close to melee, redirection, collective action, unstoppable force. But as far as I know, it's the only... Does Judgment roll with Incandescent? Maybe, but like if I was going to use a glaive to add clear with the projectile, then it would definitely be better on a rapid fire glaive like this one, right? Because No, Judgment doesn't roll with Incandescent. Yeah, I mean, if I was gonna keep a perk on this, I think it would be Incandescent. And then I guess I kept Lead from Gold on it because, I mean, they both, yeah, because you're gonna be ad clearing. Like, if you're gonna use Incandescent, you're gonna ad clear. If you're gonna ad clear, you want ammo, so Lead from Gold. It does roll Impulse Amplifier as well, which is always good. Yeah, I guess maybe I'll keep it. At least I can say I've now used it. I've used it on nothing in the Enclave. Okay. So, Solar Glaives, I've got one of each frame, basically. Lubrae's, Judgment, Greasy. Basically, only probably going to use Judgment, but... yeah. And then Arc, all I've got is Nezarex's Whisper. I've got Demo and Unstoppable Force on Nezarec. I do like Nezarec a lot. I've used it a ton in GMs. Demo is also nice on Glaives for the other reason, which is that Glaives are super slow to reload, right? Not only that, but I find when I do play Glaives, like your grenade is your most useful ability, because obviously your melee ability is kind of null and void because you got the damn glaive in your hands, right? You can't even see your melee when you have a glaive in your hands. It overwrites it. So if you're really playing into glaive, then you're ignoring your melee essentially and exchanging it for the glaive that's in your hands. So your only ability is your grenade, basically, and your class ability. So Demo on a glaive is good for that reason, because not only can you get more grenade energy every now and then, but you can also avoid having to reload the damn thing, right? Because, I mean, if you have to reload your glaive, that could be, that could be the end of your life. Especially in a GM or something, and you're, like, counting on the block, and you're stuck reloading, then you're just, I mean, you could instantly die, like, if you lose your shield. Right. So yeah, that's another reason why I like Demo on Glaives. So, where's my controller again? So yeah, Nezarek's Whisper, I got Demo, and Judgment of Kelgaroth. But what other Glaives do I have? No Strand Glaives yet. When are we gonna get a Strand Glaive? Maybe next season? I wonder what they would put on a Strand Glaive.
Hello.
Probably Slice. Oh, hello. Are you there? Can you hear me? I didn't mute when I dropped the controller, did I? Okay. So, for Void Glaives, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did it not move them all over? Yeah. No, they're all here. Okay.
Hello, heroes.
Where's Coppers? I haven't seen Coppers. Hello. Where's he at? He's supposed to be coming in here to bug me. Yeah, so I got 5 Void Glaives, but I've obviously got 3 forthcoming Deviances from Salvation's Edge. 2 Adept, 1 Crafted. The OG Glaive, the first Glaive in the game, Enigma. Unfortunately, just never really been a reason to use it ever since all the other Void Glaives came out. And other glaives in general, but like I'm pretty sure this was kind of the initial god roll. It's too bad though, because Psycho Hack is such a good origin trait. It's like Overload, and Sever for that matter. I mean, it's not nowhere near that level of damage resistance, but basically the way Psycho Hack works is, as you do sustained damage, you lower a target's damage output, right? Which is exactly what Overload rounds do. Well, on top of stunning overloads, of course, but you can't stun overloads with Psycho Hack. But you can just, like, if you're 1v1ing a champion or something like that, this could be a pretty good survival tool. Like, I mean, outside of the fact that you have a shield with a glaive, you can get a little bit of extra DR essentially. But yeah, impulse, and unstoppable force, super good synergistic perk combination there, because you're getting a ton of projectile speed, and then you're getting I think unstoppable force is like 30% projectile damage after blocking, right? So you block a bit of damage, and then boom, you got like max projectile speed with a hard hitting projectile. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to give that up too. I imagine that would be good in PvP as well, right, Giovanni? With impulse, but yeah. Then as far as PvE goes, like then, yeah, don't take that out of context, there, Cairo713. Ecliptic Distaff, right? We got that like a couple seasons later. Well, a year later from Season of Defiance. Yeah, you should definitely, if you're going to use a glaive, you should be wearing safety goggles. Gotta watch out for that backsplash on that max projectile speed, I guess. Yeah, we got Ecliptic Distaff with destabilizing rounds, so, and close to melee, right? So I mean, this pretty much just made Enigma obsolete in PvE. It's just, this is literally the first thing that we ever crafted in the game. Like, if you started playing when weapon crafting came out, this was the first thing that you got. You basically got it for free. First glaive, first crafted weapon in the entire game. So it's kind of like a nostalgia thing. Like, I can't... If there was ever a reason to keep a weapon purely for nostalgia or vanity, it would be Enigma, I think. Because it was pretty good too for several seasons. But then we got, with Salvation's Edge, a forthcoming Deviance, and this thing is what a rapid fire glaive should be. Oh, there's the coppers. How are you doing, the coppers? But yeah, forthcoming Deviance, I'm super impressed with this glaive. On my crafted version,
I'm all right.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, thanks for stopping in and leaving me some comments, the coppers. Appreciate that. Yeah, forthcoming Deviance demo chain reaction. So again, because demo gives you, well, I already explained like why demo is so good on glaives, right? Because you need, it's a free reload. Glaives are super slow to reload, but it's also 20% on kill. So you shoot one projectile at an enemy, you kill them, and then they explode from chain reaction and kill like 3 other enemies, and then boom, you got 80% of your grenade back, right? And then you can get a free reload. So you could essentially use this thing in certain content as a grenade spam, like utility weapon with ad clear. And you can stab stuff too, of course, but yeah, I'm very impressed with this thing. You could also put demo destabilizing rounds on it if you wanted to synergize with, well, I mean, destabilizing rounds again is getting buffed, right? So that would be even better. It's just the reason why you'd want chain reaction over destabilizing rounds is if, just generally speaking, like on universal builds that aren't necessarily void, chain reaction is going to give you a more immediate effect. Whereas destabilizing rounds requires you to get the kill first, and then it spreads the volatile, and then you kind of need to kill a volatile target to get them to explode to then do the splash damage. So it's a little bit more legwork to get destabilizing going, but it's going to be better when it gets buffed and gives you volatile rounds. So yeah, I wouldn't argue with anybody that went destabilizing. So then with that said, yeah, I mean, there I've got it on the Adept demo destabilizing. Does it roll Repulsor Brace and destabilizing? I feel like it probably does. Yeah, so I mean, this is like, I'm having a real hard time deleting these Adepts, because here I've got demo destabilizing, so this can synergize with controlled demolition on Sentinel. Would be super good there. Volatile healing. Hard to pass that up. And one thing too is, because this is because its base version is craftable, you can totally switch these out for whatever you want, right? Like you don't have to use any of these barrels or mags. Like you can just go to the Enclave, go to the crafting table there, and it'll give you the option to switch these out. And this one's got Grave Robber and close to melee, right? So I mean, that's a great combo. Never reload combined with 30% extra melee damage or something like that. And then chain reaction, reconstruction. So Chaos Reshape does 35% damage plus the occasional healing. Mind you, it's on projectile kills, so you'd have to be ad clearing with the projectile, which if I'm going to ad clear with the projectile, then I'm probably going to prefer chain reaction. Chain reaction or destabilizing rounds. The only reason I'd want Chaos Reshaped is if I was going to do like sustained damage versus a beefier target, and I'm typically not doing that with glaives. So I don't know, like it's too hard to... When you have 6 perks on a weapon like this, that's the equivalent of having 9 rolls in one weapon, right? Because you got 3 perks here, 3 perks there. That's 9 perk combinations. This and this, 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 this and that, this and that, and this and that. Right? It's 9 rolls in one weapon. So I've got 2 of those. That's 18 rolls with 2 weapons. So, like, I have a real hard time deleting some of these Adept raid weapons. But ultimately, like, I'm probably just gonna end up using demo chain reaction. Plus, I have to spend like 12 spoils to enhance that, and it doesn't have... None of these have demo chain reaction. Ironically, like the one perk combination that I wanted, that I originally crafted on this. Despite having 18 combinations of perks on these 2 Adepts, I don't have demo chain reaction. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with Void Glaives. Again, 1 of each frame. Or, well, no, 2 adaptives. We don't have an aggressive frame Void Glaive yet, do we? Unless 1 dropped from like a event or something that I wasn't aware of. I feel like we just had another aggressive glaive drop from the Dawning. Was it? Didn't we get a new glaive there? I didn't really do the Dawning, so I didn't get it, but it looked like it was the same model as Judgment and Rake Angle. But yeah, that's it for glaives. We don't have any strand glaives yet, so I think I got time to go into some heavies here. So I'll do machine guns. Albedo Wing. Okay. Albedo Wing.
Dawning 1.
Yeah. It seems like we've had a lot of arc glaives, because I think Trials had an arc glaive too, didn't it? It was like an adaptive, like Nezarex. But yeah, I guess I'll go into machine guns. So I've got 25 machine guns. I can check my vault real quick to see if any of them are even visible up here. Yeah, I got a lot of machine guns. I'm a machine gun enjoyer, to say the least. That's for sure. So starting with Void, how about? Pretty interesting one because we have like what 3 or 4 Void machine guns and they're all really good. Okay, so commemoration, reconstruction, killing tally. I'm willing to guess that probably 80% of you that have a commemoration have this exact same role. If not all of you. I mean, it's the OG, right? Reconstruction came from Deepstone Crypt, and this is like the weapon for reconstruction. It's too bad reconstruction got nerfed though, because I definitely feel that nerf. Like at least if you're going to use this consistently and really go on a rampage with it, you kind of have to just. It basically caps your usage with it because you're going to be stuck reloading. Like whereas before, like you could basically just use this all the time without ever having to reload thanks to reconstruction. Now I notice like I have to just stow it and forget about it for kind of a long time before I can come back to it and expect to be able to shoot it without reloading, which almost defeats the purpose of it. So I think you can also get subsistence with it, right? So I mean, it might even be worth looking at putting subsistence on this instead of reconstruction. But I mean, either one is obviously what you want with killing tally because you don't want to be reloading it. You don't want to be stowing it. Killing tally is like what 33% damage. Super good. Still probably the best machine gun in the game. Like as far as feels, stability, and this might be one of those things too where as a console player, like the visual recoil on it might matter more than PC mouse and keyboard. But I mean, like I'm not even pulling down on the trigger. That's the amount of recoil it has without controlling it at all. That's nuts. And you can clearly see what it's doing. Like a lot of weapons just have like the sight is very small, so you have very poor visibility with it to begin with. Then it's like its recoil pattern is all over the place, right? And this thing sound like it's got that suppressed weapon sound. It just sounds amazing. It looks amazing. It's definitely a contender for my favorite machine gun in the game. So then you might be wondering, why do I have this second commemoration with Dragonfly and Repulsor Brace? And you could probably guess that it is for Gerfalcon's Hauberk. Which one do I have more kills on? Yeah, Reconstruction, Killing Tally. Reconstruction, Killing Tally is good on any build. Dragonfire, Repulsor Brace is pretty much just good on Hunter, on Gerfalcons, right? Because if I'm on Gerfalcons, I'm using Marksman's Dodge anyways, so reload doesn't matter. So I don't need Reconstruction or Subsistence, because I'm just going to dodge. I'm never going to reload it manually. Dragonfly is the damage perk, essentially. I mean, it's an add clear damage perk, but it's kind of fun, especially with volatile rounds, and then you're constantly healing. So yeah, I use this pretty much exclusively on Gerfalcons. Yeah. Then we've got the old classic retrofit escapade, and like, look at the sight on this compared to commemoration. And then if I don't control the recoil, I'm not trying to control the recoil at all. It's all over the place. And I've got like arrowhead, and I think I even put like a stability master. I've even got counterbalance on here. Like I've done everything that I can do to minimize the recoil on it. But that's me controlling it, obviously. And that's the whole point of this perk, this whole combo, right? I mean, this is pretty much like the standard community agreed upon role for retrofit is 4th times target lock, at least when it came out, because target lock was meta back then. And then obviously you get more ammo, right? So you get target lock is going to be procced for longer, right? And you're doing more total damage because free ammo, etc. But it was super broken when it first came out because there was this glitch with Vault rounds where essentially the higher RPM your weapon was, like funnel web for example, Vault rounds was like proccing more often than it should have been, or than Bungie intended it to. So this thing was actually a damage meta in dungeon and raids for, I want to say, maybe a month before Bungie fixed it. So it's kind of got that like, it's kind of got that meme nostalgia tied into it, so it's kind of hard to delete just for that fact. But it is still good. Like it's still really good on champs. If we get like barrier machine guns, or if machine guns are ever in the artifact, it's a great weapon. Oh yeah, yeah. That was so nutty. Things were flying all over the place. It's funny you mentioned Glassway too, because like, because Glassway was always void burn too back then, right? So everybody was always using all the void stuff in Glassway. But yeah, I still like using this occasionally. And this is good on Falcons too, because with Vault rounds, I mean, just for the simple fact that 4th times target lock is good at melting champs, just by itself. But then you add Vault rounds into the mix, then you can just break barriers with it. So sometimes I'll just run it. I mean, a lot of these ideas that I'm thinking about are like pre-prismatic, but I talk about Falcon's Hauberk a lot because it's probably obviously my favorite, most used build on Hunter, probably in general. But yeah, it's really good on that. Then there's Hammerhead. So I pretty much just kept this one around, not just because it's shiny, but because it has this, it has under over. And I did some testing with it for a video about under over. But I mean, it's 50% damage to subjugators, to shields. So again, if you're dealing with barriers or any shielded enemies, like you get a 50% damage buff that stacks with target lock and or desperate measures. Right. The one downside to Hammerhead is it doesn't have any reload perks. Right. I think you can get it with Envious Assassin, but Envious Assassin defeats the purpose of machine guns, generally speaking. Like, I mean, you mainly want to be using a machine gun to, I mean, you want to be using it regularly, like it's an ad clear tool. So, like, if you're going to be using it properly, then you want a reload perk, like Marksman's Dodge or Reconstruction, right? So I can use this with, like, Marksman's Dodge or Actium War Rig on Titan, I suppose. But yeah, so since this thing doesn't have a good reload perk anyways, I just figured it would, you know, it'd be useful to do something unique with, like, with under over and target lock or desperate measures on, like, a subjugator boss or barriers or something like that. But I really don't use it hardly at all, unlike retrofit and commemoration, which I use a lot. Definitely more commemoration, but yeah. So that's it for Void machine guns. Not getting rid of any. I mean, we haven't had any new ones to farm up and get rid of anyways, so those have basically just been sitting in my vault, organized and dealt with for quite a while. On the other hand, I've got a lot of Strand machine guns, so I'll bring those over. mainly because Marcado 45 is still just dropping all the time. It doesn't matter what you're doing in the game. Like, this thing is always just in your postmaster. So I'm constantly just having to delete Marcados. Let's see. Oh, I did want... Hammerhead is... I mean, the sound of that, though, that's hard to pass up, too. It's a sick-looking machine gun. Like, I think it's the best-looking machine gun. It's got a great sight. It sounds amazing. I mean, Commemoration sounds amazing, too, but it's in a different way. This is kind of like a heavy-hitting sound. But, I mean, it just looks so good. It's just too bad it's not really great compared to the others. But yeah, so for Strand machine guns,
are you gonna try destabilizing rounds 2 on the Hammerhead next season?
Do I have... Wait, do I have that on here? Oh, I do. Yeah. And does it roll repulsor brace too? Because that was the other idea that I had for Hammerhead. When I was like farming into the light, I was thinking that I would keep a destabilizing rounds with surrounded roll, and I think ironically, I think I did get that roll and I deleted it. But destabilizing and surrounded was what I was thinking about for controlled demolition for Void Titan. Because yeah, I mean, if you're using machine guns, it's pretty likely that you're surrounded anyways. And then, so stacking that with destabilizing would be like absolutely nuts on Sentinel. Like, it would just be constant healing and max damage, basically. So yeah, I think I'll probably, I mean, if any weapon was to benefit the most from the destabilizing rounds buff, like being able to get volatile rounds even for 2 seconds, I think machine guns are going to basically be the greatest beneficiary of the buff. Just for the simple fact that you're shooting so many enemies so quickly, like more than any other weapon type. So you're going to get the most mileage out of volatile rounds, right? Like, you can just annihilate a pack of ads with destabilizing, and then you're going to get volatile rounds, and then you can just direct that at anybody, like any enemy anywhere in the map, immediately apply volatile to them without having to proc destabilize rounds, if that makes sense, right? Because normally you need a collateral kill first to spread volatile, and then you need to kill that volatile target to get the explosion to go off, right? That's why destabilize rounds has always not really been a great perk for splash damage, because it's just kind of slow and lethargic to get going. So yeah, now that you can get volatile rounds, it's gonna be more explosions, it's gonna be more consistent, and even if it's only for a couple seconds, I'm always thinking too, like, I mean, that's anti-barrier, right? Volatile rounds. So if you can get even if it's only for a couple seconds on a machine gun, you can probably fairly consistently break barrier shields with volatile rounds, like, regardless of what's in the artifact for machine guns, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I will most likely revisit destabilizing rounds on Hammerhead. Yeah. So then for Strand machine guns, I've got my most used one here, Pro Memoria, which I pretty much used literally all echoes, all the final shape, all episode echoes. Like, this was pretty much in every endgame build that I had, like, especially in GMs, because we had quite a lot of Strand stuff in the artifact for echoes. Yeah, I mean, this is the new frame too, right, with the 600 RPM aggressive frame. So I think this is, like, as a frame, it's probably the best frame in the game for what machine guns are basically best at doing, which is just good ad clear and also good single target damage, right? Not comparable to like linears, rockets, grenade launchers. Never was meant to be, but if you had to burst down a beefy target, aggressive frame, top tier, right? Only comparable to rapid fires in that sense. But the aggressive has the versatility of being able to add clear very well, but also dealing with champions very well. Whereas, retrofit is kind of like more like bursting down big enemies, and that's it. So, yeah, Pro Memoria is friggin' awesome. I hope they give us more aggressive frames, basically. Because I think right now Pro Memoria might, just as an archetype, it's probably my favorite machine gun. And I got Demo Frenzy on mine. It's probably my favorite machine gun as well because it actually does get demo. Because I don't have the Vault of Glass one. What's it called? Corrective Measure. Oh, and did you guys hear that we're going to be getting red borders and refreshed perk pools on the Vault of Glass weapons? And so Vault of Glass came out right before I started playing Destiny 2, so I never really put any time into Vault of Glass. So now that's going to give me a reason to go in there and learn the raid, get better at the raid, and farm some loot, right, with some origin traits. And because it has Master, you're going to be able to get Adept, I guess they're the Time Lost. Yeah, so you'll be able to get Time Lost Vogue weapons and just regular crafted. So I guess you'll be able to enhance the Adepts, and you'll be able to craft the regular ones. So like Hezen Vengeance, that's pretty good. And Corrective Measure. And I was always a little disappointed I missed out on Corrective Measure because I know that it rolled with Demo. So then we got Pro Memoria, and then I got to feel the true power of Demo on a machine gun, which is just constantly having grenades all the time. And free reloads. I never have to reload this. Right, and especially with Reconstruction being nerfed, if you're looking for a reload perk for a machine gun and you use machine guns the way that they're intended to, which is to kill lots of enemies, then you're always going to have a grenade available to you to reload this thing so that you never have to. Mind you, I've got Frenzy on here too, so if I do need to reload it, I can do it pretty fast. But Frenzy is just a good static 15% damage buff pretty much all the time. Bait and switch, I would definitely not argue with you if you went bait and switch, because 30%, it's just you got to do a little bit more to activate it, whereas Frenzy's just kind of automatic. But yeah, I love this. I absolutely love that weapon. I crafted a second version for hatchling. It's kind of nice that it rolls hatchling in the left here because it's essentially
Frenzy on that one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I haven't really put this into effect yet. I actually didn't. I crafted it not that long ago, but I had to have the hatchling option for a swarmers build, and just for general ad clear as well. It's comparable to Demo in a sense. If you were on a strand build, using threadling grenades, right? Then you would essentially be making threadling grenades all the time just by getting kills by spawning hatchlings or threadlings, right? So, yeah, if hatchling was good on any type of weapon, it would be a machine gun. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to using this in a build. But yeah, universally, I like Demo Frenzy. Then there's Circular Logic. I am actually still farming for the role that I want on this. And so here's the interesting thing about Circular Logic. This is the first strand machine gun that we got, right, from Terminal Overload, from Zephyr Concourse specifically. It's the only place it drops. Well, actually, you can get it from all of the terminal overload chests at random, right? So right now it's Ahimsa Park. So like you do have a small chance at getting circular logic from the chest there, but it's guaranteed every chest you'll get at Sever Concourse. So like in 2 days, right? Tomorrow it'll be Lyman Harbor, then it'll be Zephyrs again. If you do it on Zephyrs, that's how you farm circular logics, right? And of course, when it came out, it was the only strand machine gun, so it was good. But it doesn't have good perk combinations. It has demo, which I already have raved about, but it rolls demo on the right, so you don't get a damage perk, right? So it's good for like red bar, orange bar, ad clear, but it kind of suffers that single target damage. Well, a little bit, but not that much, because it's got nanotech tracer rockets, which is kind of heavy hitting. So pretty good even for bigger targets, because those missiles come out every now and then, right? And technically you could stack that with like hazardous propulsion to do more damage on Titan, because the rockets get buffed by 35%, 30 or 35, something like that. But yeah, I use this combination a ton. Well, you can see right here, 3,000 kills. So when Lightfall came out, this was my main strand heavy ad clear weapon. Yeah, just generally good. Looks good, feels good. Outdated now because there's just 2 other strand machine guns that are basically better. And with Feeding Frenzy, it's got a pretty snappy reload. But the one thing that this thing rolls that is unique to other strand machine guns, I guess, and maybe not that unique, because I think Pro Memoria basically has everything, but it rolls with Envious Assassin and Target Lock. Now, the funny thing is, I never got that roll, despite farming hundreds of circular logics. And still to this day, like if I go to do any kind of testing on, well, just build crafting testing, weapon testing, I usually just jump into Neomuna for the tanky enemies, and I like to do it on Zephyr Concourse if that's what's in rotation. That way I can also farm more circular logics, because I never got Envious Target Lock. So, but I decided to look it up after they talked about the weight gating thing, right? Because we had apparently weight gating in the game for a long time before anybody figured it out. So Target Lock and Envious Assassin are 3 perks apart. So it is the weight gated combo, right? So just like I was saying, I was farming for Demo and Incandescent on Martyr's Retribution. Never got it. It's because it was weight gated. Same thing for Circular Logic. So for whatever it was, a year and a half, I was farming for a roll that was basically impossible to get. So I'm sure nobody is farming for that roll except for me, and I basically have no reason to, other than the fact that I'm just like being stubborn, and it's been on my list forever, and I still kind of want to get it. But yeah, I think on Pro Memoria, because if you look at Pro Memoria, you can get Envious Assassin Target. You could just craft Envious Assassin and Target Lock on Pro Memoria, and it'd be way better than Circular Logic, probably, because it's a 600 RPM aggressive versus an adaptive, right? The only benefit to Circular Logic with Envious Target Lock is the nanotech tracer rockets. But obviously the synergy there with Envious and Target Lock is you have the most amount of ammo to dump to basically min-max the duration of Target Lock, right? Because as soon as you have to reload or stow, you lose Target Lock, and it does take a while to get going. Like to get max stacks of Target Lock, you pretty much have to dump all your.
So Target Lock goes faster.
Yeah, exactly, that too. Yeah. No, I'm just farming for it because I just happen to do terminal overload occasionally anyways, and Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. It's for the nostalgia of a weapon that I never got that I wanted. But unfortunately, the Feeding Frenzy demo roll that I have, even though that was my main workhorse for practically a year before we got Mercado and Pro Memoria, like this is useless now. But I do think Envious Target Locks with the Nanotech Tracer rockets maybe has a little bit of maybe some kind of reason to exist potentially. But then there's right before we got Pro Memoria, we had Mercado. So this thing was slain out like in Onslaught and Into the Light, right? Because it actually released that season. It released during Season of the Wish. And this thing is this was a world drop and a straight up upgrade to Circular Logic because it's an adaptive frame. So, I mean, equal frames. But this thing has better perks and arguably shoots better too. I mean, this thing has a lot of visual recoil and quite a lot of recoil in general. Like I'm kind of trying to control it. Then if I go to like my most used Mercado here, I mean, the scope on this is better, the visual recoil on this is better, the recoil in general is better. It's a Suros, is probably why, right? Suros synergy. But this thing is really good. It rolls with Surrounded, so that's 47% damage, and then Demo. So, like, I slayed out and Into the Light Onslaught like crazy with this thing. With a few different rolls, I think. I had a Hatchling roll that I used sometimes too, but I got rid of that in favor of Pro Memoria. And I think Hatchling rolls on the right, so you'd be giving up a damage perk for Surrounded. And then I kept triple tap under over. After I made the video earlier in the season about under over, I decided to keep one of these rolls on Mercado because it's a 50% damage buff versus subjugators, barriers, shields, etc. So with triple tap, I'm like, okay, well I can use this versus a subjugator boss, right? And it'd be pretty good there. And it is, but I think ultimately to make it good, you kind of need a divinity bubble because subjugators are all over the place. So I mean, if you really want to benefit from triple tap and doing DPS with a machine gun, which is already kind of questionable, right? So if you start missing shots, then it's not very good. But yeah, if you had like a div cage on a subjugator with triple tap under over, this thing could probably melt it pretty good. And then you could double. I mean, what subjugator bosses do we have? It was pretty much dual destiny. So there was a lot of ads to kill at the same time. So a machine gun makes sense for the ad density, but also for the subjugator in that sense. It's just I tried to use it in dual destiny with for that synergy there, and I was missing all my shots. Like I just couldn't stay on target with the subjugator, moving all over the place. But yeah, theoretically decent. It's just that also like with a lot of the under over weapons now, like they usually roll with under over in the left, right? And that's what you would want to be going for. Kind of like deconstruct. Like if deconstruct or under over are in the right, it's probably not a great weapon to get those perks on. You'd probably want them on the left, so that way the gun isn't 100% useless when you don't have shields or vehicles or constructs to shoot. And so and then also that way you can have a double damage perk, right? So like the hammerhead with under over is in the left, right, as opposed to the right, so I can stack it with target lock, so 50% damage on a barrier champion, for example, times 40 up to 40% or 45% enhanced. I can't remember, but I mean multiplicatively, like you're probably doing over double damage because under over it was in the left. So that's the one thing. So I could probably even get rid of this. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. just because, I mean, Pro Memoria already. And then I've, like, Attrition Orbs also, like, it's, every time I get Attrition Orbs and a damage perk, especially with, like, knowing what we know now about Attrition Orbs and how it acts with Velocity Baton, I think Attrition Orbs seems like a way more alluring perk in general in the game. But is it really? Because I think it's just area denial GLs. It's just Velocity Baton. It's the tick damage. It's just making that weapon shit out orbs. Every other weapon takes quite a bit of work to get Attrition Orbs to go. Like, you could essentially get the same effect, if not better, just by running like Strand Siphon, right? Just get an orb on a multi-kill. Most people are probably doing that in their builds anyways if they're using weapons. For ad clears and any type of content, you're probably running a siphon mod that matches the weapon, so you're constantly creating orbs. Like, Attrition Orbs isn't that necessary or even optimal on weapons that aren't Velocity Baton. Although I do think like Pyroelectric Propellant is pretty good with the jolting feedback. It does proc the Attrition Orbs like pretty consistently, I guess.
67% of the magazine for an orb.
Yeah, so it's like, but meanwhile Velocity Baton is one shot in the mag, right? And then it's doing something weird to sometimes give you multiple orbs per shot. Like, it's a guaranteed orb on every shot, but sometimes you can get like 2-3 orbs. Like if you shoot like a yellow bar or something where it's just not dying and it's just sitting there ticking away, you'll produce multiple orbs. But on a machine gun, if you got to spend 67% of the mag for one orb, how many enemies could you have killed with 67% of the mag? You probably could have procced Strand Siphon like 10 times. I think there's a cooldown on Siphon mods, but like I'm pretty sure you could create way more orbs from Strand Siphon, which you would probably be doing anyways, as opposed to using this perk. Right, an Onslaught also sounds pretty good, but I don't know. I'm just, the only thing that's unique on Mercado that is not unique on Pro Memoria is Demo Surrounded. That's it. Let's see. Pro Memoria has Attrition Orbs as well in the left. So yeah, I mean, if you really wanted, you can just craft it. Yeah, you can go Attrition Orbs Dragonfly, Attrition Orbs Frenzy, Attrition Orbs Bait and Switch, Desperate Measures. Yeah, I think if you're going to do Attrition Orbs, just go Pro Memoria. But yeah, Pro Memoria does not have Surrounded, so that's where Mercado kind of stands out in contrast to Pro Memoria. It has a bigger damage perk, and it's maybe a little bit better for ad clear, being an adaptive as opposed to an aggressive. Like, I don't know if that's more total damage or something. But yeah, I mean, still, I think Pro Memoria is just all around the better machine gun. Threat Detector Onslaught sounds like pretty good synergy there, but nah. Okay, 4-strand machine guns. Okay, where are we at? Stasis. I guess I can do Stasis next. I got a lot of those because same deal with Tusk of the Boar and Tanash's Mastery. When I was farming Iron Banner, first PvP I did in like 2 years, I decided to also just go for the Archon's Thunder God rolls. So I did get that as well. Like, I got Rhyme Stealer Headstone, for example. Got a few of those, so I'm sure I could delete something there. I've got like 7 Stasis machine guns. And it's too bad none of the Stasis machine guns feel as good as the Strand machine guns. Or have good rolls like they do. Okay.
Mercado can get Slice Under over for Subjugator.
Ooh, yeah. What, does Pro Memoria not roll with Slice? Check that. I'm on dim, so yeah, you're right. That is 100% unique to Mercado. Yeah, that might be an interesting one to keep. In fact, is that like I feel like I've gotten like every single Mercado roll possible, just because it's always like you're always getting it. But Slice and Under Over, yeah, it's not even like a weight gated perk. They're just one column apart or one row apart. So I must have had it before and just deleted it. But yeah, I didn't really think about that. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That is a unique combo. That would be pretty good. I mean, you're up against a subjugator boss. You can do 50% more damage to them. You can get 40%, reduce their damage output by 40%. This sounds like a win-win for a boss scenario like that. Okay, so 7 stasis machine guns. The OG recurrent impact. I don't know if it's the OG. Was because you guys got stasis and beyond light, right? So I would imagine that you didn't have like a stasis weapon of every kind for quite a while. So yeah, are there any other stasis machine guns that I don't have? Like, was there, or was Season of the Risen like the first stasis machine gun? But either way, like this thing is pretty good. Great weapon to benefit from land tank, right? Because land tank is final blows, grants you increased resilience and additional DR. The increased resilience thing is interesting because it's pretty much obsolete at this point. Because when during Season of the Risen, it was the first. Okay. Yeah, because during Season of the Risen, that was before Resilience got reworked, right? So I think a lot of people weren't necessarily speccing their stats out to be like 100 Resilience on basically every build until like maybe Season of Plunder or something like that. Yeah. I gotta flex my stat. This is my best stat build right here with the triple 100s and triple 40s. But yeah, I think there was, when we got the resilience rework, I mean, it kind of made that. I mean, everybody's using 100 resilience pretty much, so land tank's not doing much for resilience now, but giving you DR, because I think it's like what 5-10% DR or something like that. It stacks. Actually, I could read it out. But I mean, like, I think land tank is still one of the best perks, origin traits in the game. 10 resilience and 5% damage resist against PvE combatants for 5 seconds, maximum of 3 stacks. So you can get 15% DR, like pretty much immediately on this thing because it's a machine gun. So just by virtue of being an ad clear weapon, you get 15% DR. I mean, that's pretty darn good. And I used to have subsistence and headstone on it, but I changed it up because I had other stasis headstone weapons. And you can't really go wrong with Field Prep Frenzy. I mean, it's max reload no matter what, but this also gives you the most amount of ammo, and being a rapid fire. I mean, this thing really does just as good as Retrofit Escapade. I mean, it's amongst the best for like DPS machine guns. Like, you can melt stuff super fast with this. Faster than Pro Memoria, I want to say. Get that field prep reload if Frenzy's not procced, right? Because I can't proc Frenzy in the Enclave, because the Enclave is a useless firing range. But yeah, it's a great machine gun. 15% DR pretty much automatically. So yeah, if I'm not really caring to build into like stasis synergy with builds with headstone and all that kind of stuff, then that would be a good machine gun to use. Like if I wanted to use it to melt champs and do a bit of ad clear, that's what I'd go with. But then we've got Quillam's Terminus, which came out a couple seasons later, and Plunder with King's Fall. Yeah, I guess it would have been its first appearance in Destiny 2, because King's Fall was a D1 raid. So my crafted version of Quillam's, I've got Unrelenting Headstone, just because Unrelenting is pretty useful on a machine gun, especially if you need to survive. And then Headstone, I mean, this is a precision or a high impact, right? So high impacts have, I think, better aim assist on crits, so better for precision. So therefore, it's just a better headstone weapon than something like a rapid fire, like recurrent impact. So that's why I switched off headstone basically on this weapon. Just put it more into damage, and just keep this as my ad clear headstone stasis synergy weapon. But yeah, the crafted version, that's what I put on it, and then I eventually landed an adept or a harrowed version with the option for stats for all as well, which is kind of nice. If I just want max reload, or if I need healing. If I need healing, this is usually what I'm going with, right? And this is, I mean, it's okay. It's just another machine gun without any kind of reload perk, which makes it less appealing to use. There's no demo, there's no reconstruction, there's no envious assassin. Well, I don't like envious assassin on him anyways, but no overflow, nothing like that. So essentially, like, if I'm going to use this thing, it's probably because I have something like Marksman's Dodge in mind. I want to say Actium War Rig, but I never use it. I never use that build. The Origin trait can help. Oh, with Runneth Over too. Yes, that's right. That is a reload perk. I always forget about that too. Because I talked about Midas Reckoning, the fusion rifle, last time on the last stream as well, as a damage option for like a backup to Bequest with Surrounded being a high impact frame, so really good on Crota. But yeah, you can overflow the mag, so I mean, yeah, Runneth Over is really good if you're in a team setting. Obviously it doesn't do anything if you're solo, but that's all it does too. It doesn't give you health or anything, right? Just overflows the mag. But yeah, very valuable. Yeah, so it does have that going for it. So technically I could delete the crafted version since I have what I want on this thing, but what other roles, like if I ever wanted to just reshape my crafted version so I don't have to waste 35 enhancement cores and prisms and alloys to recraft another one, is there anything that I would potentially put on the old on the crafted version? Because it rolls with Killing Tally and Firefly.
Killing Tally.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess if I was in a team setting, then Killing Tally would be all right with Runneth Over, because then you can actually get a decent mag size to keep that Killing Tally uptime. So Killing Tally, and then Ensemble. Yeah, you can go Killing Tally. Well, no, because Ensemble just does reload. Handling, well, 35 handling is pretty nice, but I'm just thinking Ensemble synergizes in a way with Runneth Over because they both have the same precondition of needing allies, right, nearby. So, I mean, you could do something like that. You can go Ensemble with Runneth Over and Killing Tally and just save it as a weapon to use in fire teams, basically. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so maybe I won't delete this. I could change the perks. Okay, so then there's Archon's Thunder, right? So I was obviously just farming for this. doing Iron Banner. All I wanted was the chill clip, versions of Tinashes, and I wanted a chain reaction Tusk of the Boar and a slice one, and I wanted a Rhyme Stealer Headstone Archon's Thunder. And so I eventually got this as well. So I was thinking that this was going to be better than it is, though. Because this suffers from the problem of the sight being absolutely disgusting, like in a bad way. Me not controlling the recoil is actually not that bad, but it's so visually obnoxious. Like it has a lot of visual recoil. So awful sight, awful visual recoil, which is too bad because it's a high impact. So like it should be easier to land crits. I think the aim assist values has a much stronger like magnetism towards headshots on even like on PvE enemies, right? So just for that fact alone, it should automatically be a good headstone weapon. Well, I guess the same concept with Quillums. They're both high impacts. It's just this is a raid weapon. Yeah, it is, right? And I guess that's why. This is a raid weapon. This is a PvP weapon. So you could just never expect to get like a god tier PvP weapon, and I suppose unless it's trials, right? Maybe. So yeah, it's kind of a big disappointment. It's the only Rhyme Stealer Headstone machine gun. So if I want to do a Frost Armor build, and just full on Stasis Synergy with Shatter and Frost Armor, then this is the role to keep. And Skulking Wolf is getting a rework as well, right? It's actually going to be useful in PvE in some way. I can't remember what they said they were going to do to it, but they're going to give it some PvE functionality. Then the other roles I've got: High Impact Killing Tally, High Impact Desperate Measures, 4th times Rewind. So this one's obviously for the memes of being able to shoot unlimited. Enemy's gonna have worse aim. Oh yeah, like yeah, okay, I remember. Like the exotic SMG, the Void one. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So, like, is there any point in keeping these? High impact Desperate Measures, high impact Killing Tally. I don't think so. I barely use stasis machine guns as it is, and if I'm going to, then I'm probably just going to use like these ones that I've crafted and invested in. So I think I'm pretty good with that. Okay, I'm going to try and finish up these machine guns, and then I'm going to call it. So I've got Solar and Arc left to go through. I've only got 2 Solar machine guns because unfortunately, this is the one weapon where I was like, oh man, I kind of wish I played Trials of Osiris, right? Not being a PvP player, because it's got the only adaptive. Basically, Marcato. It's basically got Marcato 45, but in Solar. I can't remember the name of it, but it has like Subsistence and Incandescent, Target Lock. It has all the perks. Great frame, stable, good for ad clear, and not to talk crap about fixed odds, but it's just fixed odds is a high impact as well, just like Archon's Thunder and Quillums, which just doesn't feel as good to use. But we've also got some buffs. I think we already got the buffs this season, or we're going to be getting buffs to high impacts. Unwavering Duty, that's it, thank you. But yeah, supposedly Bungie is buffing, or they just recently buffed high impact so that they basically, I think they're giving it even stickier aim assist for crits, and maybe more damage for precision damage to make them a little bit more in line with having a place in the machine gun meta amongst adaptives and Pro Memoria. So I mean, I don't really like the way fixed odds feels or sounds, but I mean, you can't deny how this thing can just lay waste to pretty much any content that is ad dense, because incandescent. And then field prep having so much ammo, and basically max reload. I mean, it's 50 reload right when you're crouched, and I've got 43 reload at base on this thing, so as long as I do a little slide and hit the reload button at the same time, I'm basically getting 93 reload, so it's almost max. So I mean, that's pretty good, but it's got a big enough mag anyways that you barely have to reload. Like, you can definitely get yourself to a safe spot to reload, or better yet, and what I typically do if I'm not using like marksman's dodge on a hunter, just run solar, friggin' solar holster, and then you'll never have to reload it, right? Just, I mean, now basically the holster mods are better than reconstruction. So you just do that if you're running a machine gun that doesn't have a reload perk. I mean, that fixes a lot of the issue. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously not going anywhere.
10K kills on fixed odds first machine gun with incandescent. Now I was considering dismantling because I have avalanche whip.
Avalanche is a dawning one, isn't it, or something like that? Or what's from one of the events? Yeah, I don't have an avalanche either. So the unwavering duty and the avalanche, I think, are the same frames, aren't they? They're both adaptives, and they basically have the same model. Probably both Suros. Yeah, so I still don't have an adaptive solar machine gun, which is kind of crazy. Then there's this thing, which is like, look at this awful sight. And then me not controlling the recoil looks like that. So, a pretty god-awful gun. But I showcased this as a vehicle buster, basically, right? It is essentially number one amongst basically, well, I don't want to say all weapons, but if you're looking at legendary weapons, legendary heavy weapons, this is like king at taking down like threshers, vehicles and constructs, basically, right? Because deconstruct 40%, surrounded 47%, multiplicatively. It's a rapid fire as well, so it already does the best DPS out of any machine gun archetype, just naturally. So this was outperforming every other heavy weapon. Edge transit with deconstruct, edge transit with bait and switch. It was basically just destroying vehicles and constructs. But I mean, it looks awful, it feels awful. Yes, that's it. That's where I tested it. I don't think it came out as number one on the Briggs though. It was close, but it was I think it was edge transit. Mind you, I was using kinetic impacts, I think, in that test as well, so I had the tremors going against the Briggs. So, I mean, it's not that bad if you can control the recoil, but definitely doesn't feel very good. And I don't like these small sights. But yeah, so those are my only two solar machine guns, so nothing to get rid of there. Then I've got 5 arc machine guns, and we've got some pretty good ones there. So Song of Your Ute, I mean, Song of Your Ute is like probably my second favorite machine gun. Well, I don't know. It's up there with Commemoration and Pro Memoria, I would say. Mainly because it's got demo. But, I mean, the sword logic is pretty much always procced at 15% at least, if not 25 or 30 or whatever it is when you kill yellow bars. So that's great. Get the Cursed Thrall. I mean, Cursed Thrall just takes us to another level as well. for sure. And then I've got a couple of depths. I mean, this thing has basically every perk every perk combination that I could ever want on a Song of Your Ute, without having sword logic, right? Because ironically, the one that I did craft had demo sword logic. But I mean, this has pretty much everybody else's favorite god roll, which is bait and switch with reconstruction. Volt shot would even be good on marksman's dodge. Unrelenting is always pretty good. So yeah, I might end up enhancing this, but I don't know if I want to spend like 15 spoils and all the resources to enhance it when it doesn't even have sword logic. But that's a pretty good adept roll right there. Then I've got this other adept roll, this was before we got the added perks, right? So before Final Shape released, when Bungie was just giving us 2 measly perks on adept weapons, right? Post Final Shape, Bungie made it so that if you already have all the weapons, all the patterns crafted for the base version, then you get this many perks. 6. Guaranteed. Every time. Every adept weapon. 6 perks. I mean, it's 9 rolls, 9 perk combinations in one single weapon right there. So I can't just delete that yet. But I could probably delete this, because this already has that, right? And I don't really use this one that much. Yeah, and again, the barrel and mag is irrelevant because you can put whatever barrel and mag you want on adept crafted weapons. So I think I'll just delete that, even though it's, again, a shame to delete alloys and cores and prisms. Then there's Plank Stride, and this thing is just, I mean, it's just like Speleologist. It's just as horrible. I guess it looks cooler than Speleologist, but I think I pretty much like crafted this for like a Skullfort build with Thunderclap, because Grave Robber, Swashbuckler, right? Like if I'm running around using Skullfort, then I'm constantly proccing Swashbuckler ×5 or ×3, whatever the max is. So I would always have a 33% damage buff. It has Right Hook, which is also a melee-based origin trait, so you get better aim assist, essentially, and range. And you can keep extending it from melee kills. And then Grave Robber for infinite. So, I mean, this is actually, like, theoretically a really great weapon for a specific build, right? It's just not one that I ever find myself using. What is this awful shader? But yeah, Season of Plunder weapon, pretty cool. That was, like, thematically, those weapons from Season of Plunder were pretty good. But yeah, I mean, it's a rapid fire, so great DPS. It's just looks funky, feels funky, very niche. Then there's Terminus Horizon, which from Spire the Watcher. I mean, it's a shame this thing could.
Melee Song of Uryut has Cursed Troll.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, there's that too. So I think every time that I am on a melee build, then I'm more likely to use Cursed Thrall, because Cursed Thrall is way cooler. I mean, it's just such a shame, because this is a dungeon weapon, and I kind of like this for a high impact. Like it feels much better than like fixed odds Quillums. This one feels more stable to me, but it just doesn't have the rolls. So, and I think the only reason I kept this Dragonfly Adrenaline Junkie is simply because you can't get that combo on Song of Your Ute or something like that. But it's not like I'm going to use it. It's literally just, I'm just keeping it as like a token. It's a vanity weapon from a dungeon, basically, right? Taking up a space in my vault. But yeah, anyways, so that's basically it. Well, that's going to be it for this stream anyway. So I made it through all of the rest of the specials. and machine guns. So next stream, if I do this again, it's going to be swords, heavy GLs, rocket launchers, linear fusion rifles. So basically the juiciest weapon categories that are left. So I probably will do that on stream because I feel like that's probably something that people are more interested in than, say, like pulse rifles and scout rifles. But yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys in chat. Giovanni, hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you next time.